This is Let's Talk Baseball, brought to you by the tobacco companies located in the Oak Brook Shopping Center and in Old Chicago and Bolingbrook. Vince Lloyd here with you at Wrigley Field. I'm a partner, Lou Boudreau, otherwise occupied for today's show. I'm going to talk a little baseball with you all by myself, and happy today that the Cubs got another glittering pitching performance from Ray Burris with fine relief help from Bruce Sutter yesterday to knock off Montreal in the first game of the series by a score of 2-1. And today, Herman Franks going with pretty much the same lineup for the Cubs, though with a left-hander going for Montreal. One change made, and that is Gene Klein's playing in center field to get his right-handed bat in there. Bill Buckner is still sidelined with a tender ankle, and it's not going to be helped at all today if he were to try to play out here in this weather, because we do have a very stiff wind blowing in off of Lake Michigan, and it's pretty foggy out at the ballpark here at game time, although it has cleared up somewhat. And the Weather Bureau says it's going to stay just about where it is, down around the 40s. So while it is not superb baseball weather, at least it's good enough to get this game in. And the Montreal Expos are hoping that they're going to be able to even up the series, and they've got a very tough pitcher going for them today, veteran left-hander Rudy May. As a matter of fact, when you talk about May and Fryman, you're talking about two of the most experienced lefties in the business. And left-handers, as usual, are a pretty scarce commodity. Those with the capability to perform efficiently and with a great deal of durability in the major leagues. We're anxious, personally, to take a look at Rudy. He came up originally in the American League through the California Angels, spent a couple of years with the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles, and the Montreal Expos acquiring him in the offseason in a deal in which they gave up a couple of pretty good young ball players. But they needed a pitching staff. As a matter of fact, manager Dick Williams made an interesting comment in his office today before the ball game out here at the ballpark. He said, concerning the acquisition of Grimsley, Ross Grimsley, a left-hander in May, he said, last year when we got into training camp, he said, I had Steve Rogers and 19 other candidates for the pitching staff. And he says, when you can look down and you see Rudy May, who comes off his finest year with Baltimore last year, at least in total victories, 18 of them, and you look and find out that May has increased his win total in each of the last 3 seasons, like good wine, he seems to be getting better with age. And he's now 33 years of age, very trim, good-looking guy, although he has one loss only to show so far in his for the Montreal Expos this season. He pitched very, very well in one ball game, but they didn't give him any support. They only got 1 run for him, and he wound up a loser. His earned run average is a good one, 2 right on the nose, and he's worked almost 18 innings now. But he's just done a good job, and we're anxious to see him. Woody Fryman, on the other hand, is pitched very well for the Cubs, but he has no wins or losses so far. So we're anxious to see these two veteran lefties perform out here in this chilly day at Wrigley Field. And I'm anxious to have you folks, those of you who are pipe smokers, take advantage of the good offers that's being made available to you right now by the Oak Brook Tobacco Company in the Oak Brook Shopping Center and in Old Chicago and Bolingbrook. You can buy pipes, for example, 50% off, and these are the top pipe manufacturers in the world. Pipe smokers, okay? Vince Lloyd here with you, and Let's Talk Baseball. It's been brought to us by the tobacco companies located in the Oak Brook Shopping Center and in Old Chicago and Bolingbrook. It's been a presentation of WGN Sports. Lou will have the leadoff man here in just a moment, all on WGN Radio Chicago.
How you doing, everybody? Lou Boudreau with the leadoff man from Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Cubs are hoping to get today's contest in against the Montreal Expos. Game time, 1:30. And it's going to be Rudy May, a southpaw, against the veteran Woody Fryman for the Chicago Cubs. The leadoff man is brought to you by Yale Insurance Agencies, and we'll be talking to our guest, Woody Fryman, in just 1 minute. Say, buying a new car? Well, that's costly enough. But when it comes to getting lower-cost auto insurance, come to Yale Insurance Agency, now also located in your nearby Community Family Center store. Drive in. That's Yale, the lower-cost auto insurance people. Woody Fryman is our guest, the veteran southpaw who's off to a very fine spring training, as we noticed as we were in Scottsdale, and now hoping to get off to a very fine start pitching for the Chicago Cubs. And Woody, what about this type of weather? Does this bother you?
Well, I don't mind the cold weather. After I get out there and get loose, it's hard to get loosened up. Of course, I start about 5 minutes earlier and throw about 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes and get myself real good and loose before I have to go out. But after I get loose, I think the pitcher's got the advantage when it's cold.
Now, this is due to a veteran taking 20 minutes instead of the normal 15. Now, supposing it's 90 degrees out there, do you reverse it and take a little less?
Yes, I do. I usually go out then later and take about 8 to 10 minutes, and you loosen up a lot better and a lot quicker, so you don't have to worry about getting loose when it's hot.
Now, hopefully, our ball club will score some runs for you today. Now, supposing they're at bat 10, 15, 20 minutes, how do you keep your hands warm in between innings?
Well, we usually have some hot water bottles on the bench, and I keep them over a towel and keep my hands underneath the towel on the hot water bottles and keep my hands warm. But my hand sweats real good for me. I'm one of the fortunate ones. My hands do sweat at all times, even in cold weather. And so if your hands are sweat, you can get a good grip on the ball.
Now, when you're on the mound, of course, with this cold wind that usually comes in off of Lake Michigan, your fingers get cold and sometimes get a little numb. This is where the feel of the ball is quite difficult.
Well, the ball gets slick at that time, we call it. It seemed like the ball's got a slick coating on it, and it's just hard to rub up, and you have to step off and try to blow on your hands or get some moisture and rub the rosin or something, rub the ball up a little better. Of course, the umpires will let you blow on your hand when it's cold, and that helps a little bit.
What about Montreal Expos lineup? You, as a veteran, of course, have pitched against these fellas many, many times. Here now in Wrigley Field, will you adjust your plans, or you're going to stay with success?
Well, I'll pitch the same way I always do, I think. Challenge people inside and try to sink the ball down the way and get ground balls. But they've got a good hitting ball club, often a left-handed pitcher, because all their hitters almost is from the right side and all their power is from the right side.
You'll try to keep the ball down, will you, with your sinker?
Yes, I will, and then I'll try to jam guys inside on the hands when I get ahead in the count.
Do you have many types of a fastball, Woody? Do you use several fastballs?
Well, I use two. I try to sink the ball away to right-handers, and then I try to cross-seam it and ride it inside on the hands where they carry the bat.
What is the difference of your fastball when you hold it cross-seam and against the seam, or with the seam?
Well, when I cross-seam the ball, it'll ride, and then I cut it just a little bit and ride it in on the right-handers. And then when I throw it with the seams, the ball will sink and go down the way if I get the ball down.
Do you ever sidearm a right-handed hitter?
No, I don't. I used to when I was a kid, but I hurt my arm, and then the only time I'll drop down a doll now with sidearm, I'll throw a sidearm breaking ball to a left-handed hitter.
Woody, you had a 5-5 record last year with Cincinnati, and then the arguments or disputes come about, and you left Cincinnati practically, I think, half a year. With that half-a-year rest, you should come back as a youngster, let's say, this year.
Well, I'm real pleased, to be honest about it. Now, in spring training, I was a little worried because I didn't know how the arm would feel, and my shoulder was a little weak. But now, since the season started, I feel real good, and I think I threw the ball well the first two times out, and I just hope I can go out and throw well today.
What do you do during the off-season?
Well, I just work on the farm, but I don't do a whole lot of throwing.
And the farm is a tobacco farm. I wanted you to explain that Woody works on a tobacco farm, which means it keeps your legs in shape, doesn't it?
Well, I stay in good shape for his legs and body's concerned, because I do a lot of work. I feed a lot of cattle. I'm always out working on the farm and moving around. I'm never sitting in a house or apartment or anything like that. I'm always out in the open.
Woody, I wouldn't consider you as an overpowering hitter. Therefore, your control and your sinker is very important to you. What advice would you give to young pitchers insofar as getting control?
Well, I think getting control, you've got to learn to stay in yourself with wind-up and all, and just throw a fastball and a straight change-up till you get control. Because if you throw a fastball, curveball, and sliders when you're a kid, it's hard to master any pitch. So if you master one and then master a straight change to go with the fastball, you'll have control.
Do you throw to spots, or you just try to hit that catcher's target?
Well, I think when you're a kid, you just hit the catcher's target and throw the ball over the plate in any part of the plate, because it takes 8-10 years or sometimes even before you come to real good control with your fastball. It took me about 6 years in the major leagues before I could pitch a right-handed hitter inside.
This is Woody Pryman's 13th year as a major league pitcher, and this is quite a compliment, because in my opinion, pitchers that stay along over 8 or 10 years have got to show something. Not only desire to win, team player, but they have to continually win ball games, because if there's one position that you have competition at, more so than any other, it's pitching. With youngsters coming up, trades being made.
Well, I think that's very true, and especially today, they'll bring a young pitcher right in. If he's had 1 year's experience in the minor leagues, they bring him right to big leagues if he can throw hard and throw strikes. So when you get older, you got to make sure you're doing something right, or you're going to be gone.
And with that age that creeps on all of us, they sort of say, maybe you're a relief pitcher. Let the young kids start. Have you given that any thought?
Well, not really. I think if the older you get, and you just can't relieve like you can if you're a starter. I think when you get old, your arm doesn't come back where you can throw every day. When you're in that bullpen, you might be up 5-6 days a week, and I just don't think I can do that, to be honest. I think about 3 days a week all I can throw.
Well, Woody, for one, I'm very happy to see you in a Chicago Cub uniform and know you're going to have a very fine year, and thank you very much for talking with us today.
Well, thank you, Lou. I really appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
Woody Fineman, great gentleman and fine pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, was our guest. You know, many people, and brought to you by Yale Insurance Agencies. And now stay tuned for Vince Lloyd and today's ball game between the Chicago Cubs and the Montreal Expos. GN Sports, this is WGN Radio Chicago.
On a day cloudy and cold with occasional rain this afternoon, high 45 to 50. Tonight, cloudy and cold with occasional rain, possibly mixed with snow. Low and low or middle 30s. Officially 45 degrees at Midway Airport. WGN Radio Chicago, the time is 1:25.
Wow! Let's go! Fire up! We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game today. The fans are out to get a ticket or two. From Walla, Washington to Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a home run. But even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
The Chicago Cubs are on the air. Good afternoon, everybody. I wish it was a little bit warmer out here, and I know the ball players do too. I'm Vince Lloyd, and along with Lou Boudreau, we welcome you to Game 2 of the series between the Cubs and the Montreal Expos under less than perfect baseball conditions. We have a strong wind coming in out of the north today at about 17 miles per hour. And if we get any precipitation, which the weatherman says may occur later this afternoon, don't be surprised if it turns out to be that white stuff. Temperature here just about 40 degrees at game time. And naturally, we do not have a big crowd under these conditions, but a pretty good turnout nonetheless. And the Cubs today just a few percentage points behind the Eastern Division leading Philadelphia Phillies as a result of their victory yesterday. The Cubs now 6-4, and a .600 percentage coming into this 11th game of their season. The Phillies rained out at Pittsburgh yesterday, our idol today. They are 5-3, 25 hundredths percentage points ahead of the Cubs in the Eastern Division. But of course, it's awfully early to be worried about who's in first, second, or sixth for that matter. And it's the Pittsburgh Pirates, of all people, who are in last place in the Eastern Division today, 3 games behind the Phillies. Woody Fryman, who just a few days ago celebrated his 38th birthday, cranking up down the left field line in the Cub bullpen, and against him, another left-hander, 33-year-old Rudy May, in his first year over in the National League, having spent some 10 seasons toiling in the American League. And Rudy says, makes no difference to me whether it's American or National. He says, the distance between the bases is the same. The distance from the mound to the plate is the same. He says, I just got to get it in there where I want it. Our broadcast today of the second game of the series is brought to us by General Finance's 70 Chicagoland offices. To borrow up to $10,000, call friendly Bob Adams at Andover 3-2020. True Value Hardware Stores, not just a name. That's their way of doing business. True Value. The G. Heilman Brewing Company of La Crosse, Wisconsin, makers of Old Style, the pure brewed beer from God's country. The Association of Chicagoland McDonald's Restaurants. Have breakfast at McDonald's tomorrow. Your Chicagoland Gallant Men of Olds, the place to test drive the new Olds Cutlass for 1978. The umpiring crew just now making its appearance on the field. Our broadcast is authorized under rights granted by the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers for this event. It is solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of the game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, one change for the Cubs today with Gene Kleins playing in center field. And a change for the Montreal Expos today. Warren Cromartie will be starting in left field as usual. Davey Cash hitting second, playing at second base. Andre Dawson in center field to bat third, with Gary Cotter, the catcher, hitting cleanup, and Tony Perez over at first base batting fifth. The change is Ellis Valentine, who will be in right field. He appeared only as a pinch hitter yesterday. Valentine hitting 6th. Larry Parrish, with an 8-game hitting streak, will be at third base batting 7th. Chris Spire, the shortstop, hitting 8th. And Rudy May, record of 0-1, but he has pitched exceedingly well for him. His first appearance, of course, against the Cubs. And for the Cubs this afternoon, Ivan DeJesus to lead off at shortstop. Gene Kleins will be in center field today against the left-hander. Kleins hitting 2nd. Larry Bittner at first base batting 3rd. And Bobby Mercer in right field hitting cleanup. Dave Kingman in left field batting 5th. And Steve Olivares at third base. Olivares batting 6th with Manny Trio at 2nd. Dave Rader got another run batted in yesterday, and a big one. Turned out to be the game winner for the Cubs. He's hitting 8th. And Woody Fryman, the starting pitcher, no won and lost record so far this year, but he, like Rudy May, has pitched very, very well in his first 2 outings. Let's pause a moment here for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
WGN Radio, Chicago.
The umpiring crew, Jim Quick behind the plate, Jerry Crawford working at first base, Doug Harvey at 2nd, and Andy Olson over at 3rd. There's one game going on this afternoon in the National League. The St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets going at it. They finished 3 innings down there in their businessmen's luncheon game at St. Louis, and it's the Mets out in front by a score of 2-0 at the end of 3 innings of play. And the Mets surprisingly tough in the early going here. They've won 7 out of their first 12, and if they hold on to this one, of course, it'll be 8-5 for Joe Torre's crew. Here come the Cubs in the white home uniforms with the blue stripe, taking their positions on the field. Trotting out to left is Kingman, to center is Kleins, to right is Mercer. Bittner over at first base, Trio at 2nd, DeJesus at short, Steve Olivares over at 3rd. Dave Rader, number 8 behind the plate, and number 35, Woody Fryman. And now Jimmy Enright on the public address broadcast. Fryman will be facing Warren Cromartie to get the ball game underway when we come back right after this message.
From the north.
degrees, a game time temperature here at the ballpark. Norm Sherry coaching down at 3rd, Billy Gardner in the coach's box at 1st, Warren Cromartie, who overran 3rd base yesterday and was nailed, and that proved to be a crucial play. He's going to lead off. He had a couple of base hits yesterday. His first 2 of the season, very first pitch to him. He walloped for a double. He steps in batting 095. Fryman on the windup in the first pitch, a fastball from the big veteran left-hander, misses too high, and the ball game is underway. Ball 1 to Cromartie. Woody working quickly. Wines delivers. There's a swing and a ground ball as he changed speeds on it, and he bounces it out to Manny Trio for an easy out to open up the ball game. That'll bring up Davy Cash, who had 1 hit yesterday, and he steps in hitting .351. Has a homer already this year and 3 runs batted in. Woody's first start for the Cubs was over at Pittsburgh. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. He was not involved in the decision in that ball game, and that was the one game the Cubs went on to win by a score of 4-3 on Bill Buckner's 8th inning homer. And he worked against the Pirates here. in his second start. Delivers a fastball for a strike called on the right-handed hitting Davy Cash. He worked 7 innings against the Pirates. Only 4 hits. Struck out 4. Was a little wild. Fastball, high. Ball 1, strike 1. And the Cubs won that ball game by a score of 5-4 on Bittner's 9th inning homer. 1-1 pitch. Checks his swing. It's a ball inside at the letters. 2-1. But Woody was not able to reap the decision on that one either. 2-1 pitch. Takes a little off of it. It's swung on, and the fly ball declines. He's there in center field. Reaches up and hauls it in easily. 2 gone. Andre Dawson will be the batter. Appeared yesterday only as a pinch hitter and struck out. I'm sorry. He was 1 for 4 yesterday. I'm thinking about this other tall outfielder, Andre Dawson. Or Ellis Valentine. I'll get it right, dummy. Dawson hitting .250. But among his hits, he has a pair of homers and has driven in 6 runs so far in this young season. Here's the windup and the pitch. Well, those Cincinnati Reds just crushed the Dodgers last night, 11-3, before more than 50,000 fans at Dodger Stadium. Windup and the delivery. He swings, and a deep drive. Klein's going back into his left, and that ball is hit over his head. It bounces all the way to the blinds. Here is Dawson rounding second. He's heading for third. Here is Trio's relay throw. He slides. He is in with a triple. Dawson hitting one deep to right center field. That's his first 3-base hit of the season. And with 2 gone. Now, yesterday, the Expos had a lot of their hits after 2 men were out. Let's see if Woody can close the gates on him here with 2 away. And Gary Carter, the big right-handed hitting catcher, in the batter's box. He drove in his 7th run of the season yesterday. Carter hitting .257. 2 homers. And the Cubs will play him to pull. Mercer very shallow in right field, pretty shallow in right, but way off the line. First pitch. And he takes the ball outside. The Reds now 2 full games in front of the Dodgers and 2 full games in front of the San Francisco Giants. Here's the windup, the 1-0 delivery. Misses inside. 2-0. The onslaught of by the Reds last night out on the coast against the Dodgers. Ken Griffey had a 3-run homer. 2-0 delivery. Carter swings and a ground ball to DeJesus in the hole at shortstop. The long throw to Bittner, and he's got him to retire the side. So a 2-out triple by Andre Dawson. No runs. He's left stranded, and the Cubs come to bat at Wrigley Field. After a half inning of play, the base for the first time, left-handed veteran Rudy May. No score.
Oh, waitress.
Yes, they're ready to order.
I'd like a Vienna pastrami sandwich. No pickle.
Vienna pastrami, no pickle.
Yeah, and no bread.
Vienna pastrami, no pickle, no bread. Sir, with a sandwich, you gotta have bread.
Please, all I want is tender, juicy Vienna pastrami. No bread, okay?
Sir, on the menu, it's a Vienna pastrami sandwich, and with a sandwich, you gotta have bread.
Look, I get coffee without cream, potatoes without gravy. Why not a Vienna pastrami sandwich without bread?
I'll ask the boss.
Maybe I could get a Vienna corned beef, tender, juicy, lean slices.
Sir, we can fix you a Vienna pastrami sandwich without bread.
Terrific.
Just a thin sliced Vienna pastrami. Now, on the Vienna pastrami sandwich, what kind of bread did you want it without? Rye, white, pumpernickel?
Next time you want a really delicious corned beef or pastrami sandwich, with or without bread, visit your favorite restaurant, delicatessen, or food store displaying the Vienna name. And for the best hot dog in town, look for Vienna hot dog stands.
Well, we've just gotten a word from Buck Peden, the manager of information and public service here for the Cubs, that Paul Russell has had to be put on the disabled list for 21 days, effective immediately. In the game on April 15th against the Pirates, he hurt his right elbow, inflammation of the right elbow. So Russell on the 21-day disabled list, and the Cubs have activated Dave Roberts, taking him off the DL. Continuing their thoughts about that Cincinnati walloping of the Dodgers last night, Ken Griffey, as I mentioned, a 3-run homer. Joe Morgan hit a 2-run home run. George Foster and Johnny Bench hit shots with the bases empty. Freddie Norman getting the win. The Reds pounding 16 hits off a quartet of Los Angeles Dodger pitchers. Ivan De Jesus batting .349, hitless yesterday in 4 trips, 4 runs batted in. A lean veteran left-hander, Rudy May, 6'3", 198, 33 years of age, delivers the first pitch, a curve that misses inside for ball 1. He was 18 and 14 with the Orioles last year, and a good earned run average of just over 3.6. There's the gold-rimmed glasses. Delivers that one a little high. Ball 2 to Ivan. And Rudy May wants another baseball. Going to be 34, July the 18th. Native of the state of Kansas, but he grew up out in California, and he was a high school teammate of Joe Morgan, whom I just mentioned a moment ago. Left-hander winds. Here's the pitch. And he takes a strike. Ball 2, strike 1. In each of his last 3 years with the Orioles, May added to his win total, going to 18 last year. There's a swing and a tap foul just past Gene Klein's in the on-deck circle. That levels the count on Ivan at 2-2. You'll have to hit a cannon shot to get the ball out of Wrigley Field this afternoon if you're going to hit it to left or center field, the way that wind is blowing in off the lake. 17 miles an hour and gusting stronger than that at times. 2-2 delivery. Swung on and a drive into center field as May got that breaking ball up a bit. And De Jesus has singled cleanly to open up the ball game. May's one loss this year was to the New York Mets at Montreal. Gene Klein's stepping in, did not play yesterday. Veteran right-hander hitting .227, has driven in 1 run so far this season. Front foot near the plate. Let's see how the Cubs go at it here. In the stretch, looks directly at first base, comes to the plate with a rather high strike call. He's got a pretty good move, hasn't he, Lou?
Yes, he has. I'm anxious to see him work. He should be a very good left-handed pitcher, or veteran pitcher for the Expos.
It looked like he was, when he raised that leg, like he might be going to first base. Long stretch this time. Delivers. De Jesus goes. A pitch into the dirt, and Potter is not even able to make the throw to second base. The curve breaking into the dirt. And Gary Carter, by the time he got a grasp on the ball, realized it would be futile to try to throw. So credit Ivan De Jesus with a stolen base, his first of this young season. And the Cubs have a runner in scoring position with a count of ball 1, strike 1. Valentine playing over near that right field line, figuring that Klein's going to try to get that runner over to third by going the opposite way. One delivery. And he's high with it. Ball 2, strike 1. Joe Niekro, for a brief period of time, was with the Cubs. Fine job last night for Houston. Pitched a 4-hitter, and he drove in a pair of runs as Houston knocked off San Diego 5-1. Rudy May, 2-1 pitch. Kleins takes a strike, belt high inside corner to level it at 2-2. Nolan Ryan and the Angels got beat last night. Bruce Bochy drove in the 3rd run, scored a couple. 4 hits for Seattle, and they get themselves a 6-1 victory over Nolan Ryan in California. 4 hits is all they got. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, and he throws one into right center field. It's going to drop in there for a base hit. Malpatano waving to Jesus to the plate as the ball got away from the center fielder Dawson. Klein's going into second, and he is in there. Ahead of the throw by the right fielder, Valentine. The Cubs lead 1-0. Gene Klein with his 2nd run batted into the season. And a runner in scoring position now for Larry Bittner. Placed it in there perfectly in very shallow right center field, and that wind, of course, helping to blow it away from the center fielder Dawson. Bittner batting .292. Went for the collar yesterday in 4 trips. As I mentioned, got a home run that won the ball game against the Pittsburgh Pirates here, leading off the 9th inning. Lyman had been the starter in that ball game. He swings and misses at the fastball. There's 4 runs batted in for the season. Cubs have grabbed an early lead. They try for their 7th win against 4 losses. May in the stretch. Looks at Kleins. Comes to the plate, and Bittner checks his swing, and there is a ball outside. 1-1. Andy Frayne ushering Chief Rick Ferrari. Caught a foul ball just over the left eye yesterday. Had to have 5 stitches taken in it. Back at his normal position, tending to the extra baseballs just to the right of the screen behind the plate. 1-1 pitch. Low and outside with a breaking ball. 2-1. He tried to put a little extra on it. There was a 1-hitter thrown last night in the National League. Combination. Preston Hanna and relief pitcher Adrian Devine for Atlanta against the tough San Francisco Giants. 2-1 delivery. Bittner takes, and there is a strike. 2-2. That one really floated up there. Larry out of the batter's box for a moment. Atlanta winning that ball game 1-0. Hanna went 7 innings, and he gave up a single in the 3rd inning off the weak-hitting shortstop of the Giants, Johnny LeMaster. None of the rest of those sluggers could reach safely against him. 2-2 pitch. Nobody out. Goes after it, fouls the fastball back up out of play. Still 2-2. Count John Montefiasco, one of the very good young pitchers in the major leagues, suffered the loss, and he allowed only 3 hits while striking out 9, and he didn't walk anybody. Tough one to lose, 1-0. And a good one, of course, for the Atlanta Braves to chalk up in the win column. Nobody out, bottom of the 1st. Bittner the batter, Rudy Mays. 2-2 pitch, swung on and foul tipped into the middle. Gary Carter for a strikeout. His 14th already this year. That's good stuff. Manager Dick Williams huddling in the dugout with a warm windbreaker on, hands deep in the pockets. He's not going to be running the ball club tomorrow. Ozzie Virgil will be doing that. Dick Williams taking off for the confirmation of his son. Bobby Mercer, the hitter, Dave Kingman, hitting 188, 1 for 3 yesterday, and lined a single into left field. There's a homer. Started at Pittsburgh and has driven in 2 runs. 1 away, runner still at second. Rudy Mays delivered. A little bit high. Ball started to break, but not very much. Came in stance straight away. Had the field covered. So just about 40 minutes or so before the game today. Fearful, of course, of the showers that could fall. Now we're set. 1-0 pitch. Fastball, and he just blew it right by him. Put it right up in his eyes. 1-1. Cubs with a pair of hits so far and a 1-0 lead with 1 gone in the bottom of the 1st inning. Dawson, the 23-year-old center fielder, well over into left center field, and young Warren Cromartie guards the line deep in left. And Rudy May is going to be charged with a balk as he come into the set position, then moved his hands kind of in a pump. And that puts Kleins over at 3rd. You don't expect a veteran like that, Lou, to commit that kind of a mistake.
No, and credit Quick plate umpire, noticing that he took the ball out of the glove to get set again, called a balk. Now, this should induce Kingman to be a different type of a hitter at the plate. With a man on third with less than 2 outs, he's got to drive that ball someplace to score the run. The ball has to be hit beyond the pitcher to score the run. So this is where a home run hitter has to shorten up a little bit and try to get the run in rather than go for that long ball.
Wind up in the 1-1 pitch. He bunts one on the third base side of the mound. A beauty. Fair hand pick up by the third baseman. Throws too late. A bunt single for Dave Kingman. And what a beautiful job he did to make the score 2-0 Cubs.
Well, he was thinking.
Yeah, Parrish
got the curveball to hit. He was figuring if he throws me a breaking pitch, it's exactly what I'm going to do, bunt it. He got the pitch and bunted it beautifully. That's the different style of hitting that you need to win ball games.
Boy, it sure is. He's got to figure anyway today that he would really have to hit a rifle shot to get it out of here into the teeth of the wind. A little bunt single right past the pitcher's mound. And Bobby Mercer stepping in. Takes a ball outside, a fastball that misses. Mercer hitting .270. No homers, 6 runs batted in so far this year. Bobby looks, and there's a strike call. Cubs out in front. 2-0. 1 away. And a count of 1-1 on Mercer. The right-hander starts to throw in the Montreal bullpen. Throws a wicked breaking curve, but it's way low and outside. You see Rudy blowing on the fingers of that pitching hand to try to warm him up a little bit. Expos really had to be startled with that beautiful bunt by Kingman. 2-1 pitch. Sat on him. Better than that, broke in and caught the inside corner, says plate umpire Jim Quick. Mercer not very happy about it. Ball 2, strike 2 on him. Count is level with 1 away. May into the stretch. Left-hander's delivery. Swung on. He hits one down to the first baseman. Wheels to second for 1. And a ball is dropped out there, and all hands will be safe. Chris Fire in a hurry to get rid of that one, to try to complete a double play. But he did not have possession long enough for the force on Kingman as the ball just dropped onto the grass out there. Bucket hit him right in the heel of the glove. So he starts with an error. And the Cubs with runners at first and second have Steve Monteveros in the batter's box. 1 for 3 yesterday. Well, there's only 2 hits for this young season and 17 at-bats, a 118 average. And still looking for his first run batted in of 1978. Kingman at second, Mercer at first. Mays pitch a fastball. Taken for a strike on the outside corner. Montreal has now been charged with 10 errors this year. Rudy May, in a bit of a jam, delivers one high. Fastball, 1-1. Dave Kingman, pretty good lead at second. Same for Mercer over at first base. Monteveros crouching at the plate, batting right-handed, of course. 1-1 pitch. Fastball is high, ball 2, strike 1. And a very tough first inning for Rudy May. He's committed a balk. There's been a bunt single by Kingman to bring in that runner from third following the balk. And the Cubs officially with 3 hits. And a stolen base against him. It's another sign. Nazi said as he gets it from Gary Carter. Long, lean lefty delivers. Strike called with a good fastball. 2-2 now on Monteveros. leading the National League in runs batted in today. Joe Morgan of the Reds with 14. Cecil Cooper of Milwaukee leading the American League in the majors, for that matter, with 15. And Larry Heisel of Milwaukee already has 5 home runs. Runners at first and second. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and a high fly ball. Dawson, the center fielder, moving over into left center. Reaches up, hauls it in. Kingman tags. He's going to third without a play. 2 gone. Runners at first and third for Manny Trio. Had a hit yesterday and steps in batting .353. No homers for the Cubs second baseman. 4 runs batted in. In the National League, in the home run derby, Gary Matthews of Atlanta has 4. Johnny Bench of the Reds, 4. Rick Bundy of the Dodgers, 4. And there are 6 guys in the league who are tied with 3 home runs apiece. Cubs as a team start today with 3. Bittner, Buckner, and Kingman. Rudy Mays steps and throws over to first base, driving Mercer back. And 2 of those 3 homers won ball games. Dawson fairly shallow in left center field. Right fielder Valentine is shallow. Here's a pitch. Fastball, and he's got a good one. Strike called right at the letters. Cubs with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning. Mercer and Kingman on the bases. Made from the stretch. Rudy's kick and pitch. A little bit high with a fastball. 1-1. You know, he had a good curveball, Lou, but he's got a good fastball, too,
Yeah,
isn't
he's sneaky. He's sneaky fast. But he's thrown a lot of pitches out there.
And a long bottom of the first for him. 1-1 delivery. Taken for a strike on the inside corner at the belt. Let's pause a moment here for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio Chicago.
Two gone. 1-2 count. Here it comes. Strike called right at the letters. And that retires the side. The Cubs send 7 men to the plate. 3 hits in the inning, a couple of runs. 2 men left on, an error. And at the end of 1 full inning of play, Montreal comes to bat against Woody Fryman. It's the Cubs 2 and the Expos nothing.
70 General Finance Chicago area offices. Call General Finance's friendly Bob Adams to borrow up to $10,000. Just call Andover 32020. Also an office in Crystal Lake.
Well, Ladies' Day in the major leagues originated right out here at Wrigley Field a long, long time ago. And if you're a miss, Mrs. or Miss, let's say Miss, 14 years or older, this Friday is your day at Wrigley Field. That means you get in for $1. Or you get a $2 discount on reserved or box seats. The Cubs' current homestand includes our Ladies' Day game this Friday against the New York Mets. So, gals, come on out. Message furnished by the Chicago Cubs. Tony Perez, veteran right-hander, steps in the batter's box, and Fryman's first pitch to Tony misses a ball. He was 1 for 4 yesterday, off to a slow start with the bat, hitting 177, and he takes that one low, ball 2. Driven in just 1 run so far. Has 6 hits in his first 34 trips. Struck out 7 times. Averaging a strikeout just about once every 5 trips. Looks at a strike. Ball 2, strike 1. Point out to you on Ladies' Day this year. Here's a swing and a miss as he goes after a good fastball. 2-2. To get in this year for $1 on Ladies' Day, or a $2 discount on reserved seats or boxes. Fastball pumped over the top and tucked in under his chin, high and tight. 3-2. Ellis Valentine in the on-deck circle. Woody in the windup. 3-2 pitch. Swung on. He came down and in on it, and Perez fouls it back out of play. Left-hander is ready. And Perez goes after that one. Fouls it back on the net. Still 3-2 on him. Phillies off today after being postponed at Pittsburgh yesterday afternoon. Wind up 3-2 delivery. Jammed him with a good fastball, and he swung and missed. In on him, tight at the letters. Fireman's first strikeout of this afternoon. Woody now with 7 for the season. Dallas Valentine, tall, trim, right-handed hitter, stepping in, batting .333. There's a homer and a pair of runs batted in this season. Pretty deep in the batter's box. Jesus deep in the hole for him at short. Kingman very deep in left field, even though that wind is blowing in right over his back. 0-1 first pitch, rather. Swung on, and he taps a little foul. Larry Parrish, the third baseman. He has an 8-game hitting streak going. Kept it alive yesterday with a base hit. This right-hander with the luxurious full beard this year, batting .393. There's a homer and 6 runs batted in. Fryman from the stretch. Kicks, delivers. Fastball. In for a strike. Detroit off to a surprisingly good start. They start today, half game in front of Boston in the American League Eastern Division. 2 in front of Milwaukee, 2.5 in front of the Yankees. Throw to first, runner back safely. Followed by Cleveland, Baltimore, and Toronto. Kansas City in the Western Division. That 8-game winning streak, a game and a half in front of the Oakland A's. 0-1 pitch. Strike called, and another good fastball. The California Angels 2 out. The White Sox, who were rained out yesterday, 4 games away. Minnesota 4.5. Seattle and Texas, each 6 games off the pace. 0-2 pitch. Fastball wasted it high and tight. Wes Westrom, that managed the Giants, was a fine catcher, sitting down talking with the Cubs general manager, Bob Kennedy, right behind home plate. 1 away, runner at first, 1-2 pitch. Tailed away from him, and he laid off. It's 2-2 on Parrish. Cubs with a 2-0 lead. We're in the top of the second inning. 1 away. Fryman kicks. Parrish swings in the inside delivery. Hits one inside the third base line. It bounces down past the Cub bullpen crew. Picked up by Kingman. Going into second is Parrish, and coming into third base standing is Valentine. The tying runs in scoring position, as Parrish has now extended his hitting streak to 9 straight with a blistering double just inside the third base bag. Valentine did not make the mistake that Cromartie did yesterday in a similar situation, rounding third and then unable to get back in time to avoid being thrown out there. Chris Spire, the shortstop, right-hander, batting .303 despite going hitless yesterday in 3 trips, steps in. Woody winds. Fastball to Spire. Did he check his swing in time? Apparently did. The pitch was in tight. Don't see Rader ask for an appeal. Pitcher due up next. The Cubs' 2-0 lead is sorely threatened right here. 1-0 delivery. Outside to the fastball, 2-0. Spire has a homer this year and has driven in 6 runs. Montreal, a good ball club. 2-0 delivery. Looks at a strike. He was taking. Ball 2, strike 1. Most of the guys today are wearing batting gloves on both hands in deference to the cold weather. 2-1 pitch. Just missed with a breaking ball down and away. Isn't giving him much to swing at. Ball 3, strike 1. One away, runners at second and third. Top of the second inning. Fryman winds and Spire takes one high, fastball, ball 4. A semi-intentional walk. Rader out to talk to Woody, and now we'll have our first look at Rudy May in the batter's box. Rudy has a professional scuba diver's license. And he is engaged in salvage operations down there in Florida. Very trim-looking guy. Wonder how he feels pitching here in Wrigley Field for the first time. Bucky's got that wind behind him. Left-handed hitter. And he swings and he drills one into center field. A base hit. Here comes one run around the plate. Here comes Parrish to the plate to throw. To Rader, he tags him. Up. He did tag him, but then he dropped the ball. Rader on his hands and knees. And that tying run will tally. As Rudy May wasted no time, dumped one into very shallow center field. That is already his second hit this year, and he gets his first runs batted in probably, Lou, how many years? Huh?
Well, I really don't know. It was a tough play for Rader. The ball was ahead of the runner, Parrish. Parrish did not slide. He just ran into the tag and kicked the ball right out of Rader's glove.
I would have had him beaten, but the ball game is now tied at 2 apiece, and Montreal has runners at first and second. There's still only one out, and now it's the top of the batting order up. Warren Cromartie. Fryman's first pitch. Left-hander swings. He's out in front and gets a deep foul down the right field line. Cromartie must have cracked his bat on that one. He's going back for some new lumber. And the Cub bullpen is going to start going to work now. Rudy May was in trouble in the first inning. Fryman, who had given up a 2-out triple in the first inning, started out this inning by striking out Tony Perez. And Valentine, a single. Double but Parrish. Pitched around, Spire walked him. And Rudy May, wasting no time, dumping one into shallow center field, and we've got a tied-up ball game. 0-1 pitch. A little bit high. 1-1 on Cromartie. It's only 2 hits in his first 22 trips to the plate so far this year. 1-1 delivery to him. Got a little extra on it and missed low, almost into the dirt. Ball 2, strike 1. Worried about Fryman, Dave Rader, all the newcomers to the Cubs and the new Cub roster book. It's available out here at the ballpark and also by mail. Tell you how to send for it in a moment. Now, a 2-1 pitch. Cromartie goes after it, and he fouls it out of play. Ball 2, strike 2 on him. It's 72 pages of biographies and statistics on all the Cub players. Manager Herman Franks. You can get it by sending $1 to roster book, Wrigley Field, Chicago, 60613, and add 25 cents for postage and handling. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss for strike 3. Went after a good fastball. That's strikeout number 2 for the day. Still tied with 2 gone. Davy Cash, the veteran's second baseman, stepping in. Flied out to Gene Clines in center field in the first inning. If you want to order 3 of those roster books, by the way, you'd send $3 plus another 25 cents for the order for postage and handling. Here's the pitch. Over the top of the fastball, it's high, and Rader, whoops, I want to talk to him. Donnie Moore throwing in the Cub bullpen. And Paul Russell in the 21-day disabled list. Inflammation of the right elbow. Dave Roberts off the disabled list. Left-hander. 1-0 pitch. Swung on, and he hits a high pop up to the left side. Olivares, the third baseman, over under it, and he grabs it on the dirt. That retires the side. Couple of runs for the Montreal Expos in the second inning to tie it up. And the pitcher, Rudy May, they kind of pitched around Spire to get to him, confounded the strategy. 2 men left on at the end of 1.5 innings of play at Wrigley Field. That's all tied up at 2.
If you want a hand drill that's really handy, get the Stanley push drill from True Value Hardware Stores. Hi, Pat Summerall to tell you when you need to bore a small hole in wood or plasterboard, the Stanley hand drill is all you need. It's as compact as a screwdriver. You don't need electricity, and it's just $3.99. For a handy tape measure, get the Stanley 20-foot tape lock. It has a positive blade lock for accuracy and a belt clip to keep it close at hand. And it's just $6.99 at participating True Value Hardware Stores.
Morning. I'd like to try the breakfast with the hash browns, please.
Oh, McDonald's scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast with an English muffin.
What's the name of it?
Oh, we don't have a name.
You need punchy here. You need name punchy quick.
Oh, you mean like Egg McMuffin?
Greg Berthostum.
McEgg sauce hash brown.
McScram.
And steak.
No.
Naposaw.
Potosa Muffy.
McMuffin.
Oh, no.
McDonald's scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast.
So you do want that?
I'll have that.
You got it.
Our scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast.
The Cubs in the first inning sent 7 men to the plate, picked up 2 runs. The Dave Rader, the 8th man of the batting order, will be leading off, hitting .250 for the year. The Cub stat sheet credits him with 3 runs batted in, and I credit him with 5. .250 hitter for the season. If he can get out, of course, the pitcher, Woody Fryman, be due up there. Tony Perez, we're waiting for him to get back out in the field. Talking about some of the leaders in the American and National League in hitting. We certainly should talk about some of the leaders in pitching. We have 4 pitchers already who have won 3 decisions this year without a loss. Rudy May being given a stick so he can tuck that into his pocket from time to time. He'll want to dig the mud out of his spikes. And Bob Forsch, who won 20 last year for the Cardinals, has already posted 3 victories this season. Bill Bonham, formerly with the Cubs, has picked up 3 with the Cincinnati Reds. And over in the American League, Frank Tanana, the California Angels, 3 wins without a loss. And Paul Splittorff, as I mentioned, got a shutout last night for the Royals, is 3-0. We may have some 30-game winners this year, huh, Lou?
Could be. Bonham's off to a great start. Reds have been scoring a lot of runs.
Yep, they figured it. But over 162 games, a lot of things begin to even out after a while. Now May is ready. Rudy's first pitch. Swung on, and Rader gets under it and fouls it back. Strike 1. And Herman Franks questioned after the ball game yesterday. Fastball, high and tight. Ball 1, strike 1. About the fine Cub pitching so far today. We've only played 10 games. Wait a while. 1-1 delivery. Swung on, a well-hit drive to right field. Should be caught. Valentine go back, and it's going to be over his glove, going all the way to the warning track. Here's Rader on his way to second base. And he slips and falls as he rounds second. The throw, however, going in towards third, and he gets back and recovers with a double. Hit much stronger than Ellis Valentine figured it would be in right field. The young man just couldn't catch up to it. Dave Rader with a long double to right field opens up the second inning in a tied-up ball game. That is already Rader's 3rd double of the year out of his 10 hits. Woody Fryman stepping in. See if he can get him over to 3rd. Game is tied. It may not stay that way for long. Nobody out. They ready. Tries to bunt the breaking ball, and he fouls it back over on the line of the plate in 3rd. Strike 1 count on Woody. He sacrificed successfully once this year. And he's not a bad hitter. I think he's a pretty good hitter. Center fielder, Dawson, very, very shallow. Same for his colleagues out there, Cromartie and Valentine, and left and right. Let's see if he's going to sacrifice. Here's the pitch. He tries to bunt that one, jabs at it, actually, a fastball, and he's upset with himself because he fouled it off the catcher. Strike 2 count on him. Joe Malpatato coaching at third, flashing him another sign. Cookie Rojas, the coach for the Cubs this year, at first base. Joey wearing number 5, Rojas number 1. Dave Rader, one of the newcomers to the Cubs at second base. Fryman, another newcomer in the batter's box. Lots of new faces. Rudy Mays, next pitch, he bunts it foul on the first base line, and he becomes a strikeout victim officially. The third of the day by Rudy May. Joe Rader still at second base, and it's now Ivan DeJesus. Single, still second, and scored. Gene Klein. Hit in the first inning, stepping into the batter's box. I've seen Dave Kingman here today bring in a runner from third base with a surprise bunt single. He looks at Rader, delivers high with a fastball, ball 1. Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 6th inning against Pat Zachary of the New York Mets. New York leading 2-0. The only other current action in the National League. 1-0 delivery with 1 away. Bottom of the 2nd. Curveball, high and outside. He wants another baseball from plate umpire Jim Quick. Ball 2. And again, you see Rudy blowing the fingers of that pitching hand, trying to get him warmed up a little bit. Langford pitching for the surprising Oakland A's this afternoon up at Minnesota against Jeff Zahn. And there's no score. The Twins batting in the bottom of the 2nd, and I'll bet you it's like an iceberg up there. Now the stretch. 2-0 delivery to Ivan. The right-hander takes the strike just below the belt. Ball 2, strike 1 on him. Zachary going for the Mets, trying for his 2nd win of the season. One away, 2-1 pitch, swung on. Ground ball to the shortstop. Rader go to third. Spire has trouble. Can't take the ball out of his midsection. And by the time he does, he sees DeJesus just a step away from the bag, so he can't throw over there. Runners at first and third. And Chris Spire is charged with his 2nd error of the afternoon. And number 11 against the Montreal Expos this year. Cubs get a break. Let's see if they can capitalize on it. Gene Klein will step in. Drove in his 2nd run of the season in the first inning and scored on Dave Kingman's bunt single. Gene wearing number 18, Lynn Becker's old number. Rudy Mays, first pitch, a curve swung on. Hits it. But the second baseman fumbles, throws, and a barehanded catch by Spire. His relay not in time. They miss the double play. Dave Rader scores. The Cubs have a 3-2 lead. Hey, that was some catch by Spire on that ball, Lou, thrown by Cash, wasn't it?
Yes, Cash had to feel that ball cleanly to make a double play. He was fortunate enough to keep the ball in front of him on that short hop. Spire did not have a good angle in taking the throw from Cash, so consequently, he had to come way back to throw sidearm to first base, which enabled Kleins to beat it out.
Ball was hit sharply, bounced away from Cash. By the time Davey retrieved it, he was behind the bag at second, about 7 or 8 feet. Curveball thrown in here now to Larry Bittner, and he takes it low for a ball. The Cubs back out in front. Klein's on at first base with his second run batted into the afternoon. Rudy Mays pitched to Bittner, and he takes a strike inside corner at the letters. 1-1 on Larry. Mays struck him out in the first inning. That's only the second time in 25 trips to the plate this season that Larry has fanned. Finds a pretty good lead at first base. This guy is tough to get a good lead on. Comes to the plate, breaking ball swung on. He's out in front of it and hits it deep but foul down the right field line, out of play. 1-2. Wayne Twitchell used to be with the Phillies, is scheduled to start here tomorrow for the Montreal Expos. And against him, fine, promising rookie, Dennis Lamp. Suffered a pair of losses already this year. And that will conclude the first series between the Cubs and the Expos. 1-2 pitch, Kleins goes. Victor checks his swing. Here's the throw. High to second. He slides. He is safe. Gary Carter's throw started at Sale. Kleins getting a good jump is in there with a stolen base. Second one of the afternoon by the Cubs. DeJesus had one, his first of the season, and that for Kleins is his second of the year. Pitch was high, ball 2, strike 2. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau reporting. At Wrigley Field, the Cubs have a 3-2 lead. Runner in scoring position for Bittner with 2 away. Mays stretch. And a pitch swung on and missed. Dropped the arm a bit on Bittner that time with a breaking ball. He has struck him out for the second time in the afternoon and his 4th strikeout of the day. But the Cubs regained the lead with a run in the second inning. Even though it's not earned, it sure does help. 1 hit, an error, 1 man left. And at the end of 2, Montreal Expos come to the plate against Woody Fryman. Cubs back in front, 3-2.
When you brew a beer once, you've got a good beer. But when you brew a beer twice, you've got a great light beer. A great light beer called Old Style from God's country. Heileman's Old Style is brewed in a traditional old world way called krausening. Krausening is the most natural way to brew beer and the most expensive. Most expensive because it takes more time. But Heileman has been brewing beer this way since we first opened our doors back in 1853. Krausening is what makes Old Style the great light beer it is today. Taste the difference Krausening makes. Try Old Style, pure brewed in God's country. G. Heileman Brewing Company, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Well, the first 2 innings taken almost an hour to be played, just about 50 minutes or so. But Cubs have the lead. Let's see now if they can hold on to it. Here's Lou.
Thank you, Vince. Montreal will lead off with Dawson, followed by Carter and then Perez. 3-2 Cubs. Dawson tripled in the first inning, but the difference of this ball game is that the Cubs have been getting their leadoff man on. They did in the first 2 innings, and they have both scored. Whereas Dawson's triple came with 2 outs. This is the same thing that happened yesterday. When you get your leadoff man on, or the first 2 men on, the manager can do a lot of things offensively. Strike 1 pitch is low inside, 1-1. But if you get your men on with 2 outs, there's only one thing to do, and that is to wait for that hitter to hit one. Let up, low. That's the first let up that Fryman has thrown today. Ball 2, strike 1 on Dawson. Tall right-handed hitter. Levels the bat over the plate. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Pass ball, and he checks his swing just in time. They asked for the appeal, and the first base umpire, Crawford, said no. He held up. So it's 3-1 now on Dawson. Fryman's 3-1 pitch. Swing and a ground ball foul. Pass Sherry, third base coach. Full count. Fryman has walked one man. He was very careful with Spire, with runners on second and third in the second inning. But then May followed with a 2-run single. Outside and high, just missing, and it's ball 4. Second walk issued by Fryman, and it opens up the inning now for Montreal. Here's Gary Carter at bat, grounded out to DeJesus at short, first time at bat. Cubs have 3 runs, 4 hits, capitalizing on 2 errors by Montreal, both of them by the shortstop Spire. And Montreal has 2 runs on 4 hits. So to first, Dawson gets back safely. Dawson has 2 stolen bases already in this short season. Pitch to Carter. Outside. Ball 1. Ball 1 and no strikes. This big strapping catcher for the Expos has 2 home runs and 7 RBIs already this season. Fryman is ready, checks the runners. Here's the pitch. Outside again, missing. And it's ball 2, no strikes. Now time is called as Mike Rourke, pitching coach, trots out from the Cubs dugout to have a chat with Woody Fryman. Pitching coach knows all these pitchers, their habits, characteristics, and they in turn will study each man's action as to his stride, whether he's kicking the leg up too high or not enough, whether he's releasing the ball too quickly or holding on to it. He's doing something wrong on the mound, so that pitching coach will come out and try to straighten him out. Rourke did that yesterday to the Cubs pitcher. Ball 2, no strikes. The pitch. Fastball for a strike. He came up a little more overhand on that pitch than he has been throwing in the first 2 innings. 2-1 to count. Fryman ready, sets, looks at Dawson at first, throws to first. So let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio Chicago.
Cubs lead 3-2. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. Dawson has just led off the inning with a walk. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Or I should say 2, and it's 3-1 now. Correction. 3-1 now on Carter, as Woody's been behind on the first 2 hitters here in the 3rd inning. The 3-1 pitch. Pop foul over the Expos dugout. Bittner cannot make the catch. It's back into the stand. So now the count is 3-2. With nobody out, we'll see how Dick Williams plays this particular situation, whether he sends his man from first base on the 3-2 pitch. Woody Fryman into the stretch. The pitch. There goes the runner. A swing and a foul back onto the screen. Carter has only struck out 5 times in 36 times at bat. So he makes contact. In fact, Dick Williams is hoping that he makes contact. Once again, the stretch. There goes the runner. A swing, and there's one hit deep to left field. Way back. Kingman near the wall. He has it into the crease of that outfield wall. And here goes the runner back to first. And Trio Soul gets past Dip Bittner, goes to the wall. Dawson goes to second base. Dawson thought that ball was either against the wall or out of here. Carter will never hit a ball any harder. But that wind blowing in directly from left field held that ball in the air. Kingman, with his back to the mines, makes the catch. Dawson was around second base and had to return to first. And on Trio's throw to Bittner was low into the dirt. It got past Bittner. It got past Rader, who was hustling, backing up the play. And Dawson advances to second base on the air by Trio. So the tying run is at second base. But let me tell you, Carter put a charge in that ball, and only that strong wind blowing in held it in his ballpark. And Kingman did not give up on it. Now here's Perez at bat. First pitch, outside, ball one. Perez struck out. First time at bat. Here's a swing and a pop-up over Bittner's head. The wind carries it to foul territory. Bittner's there. He gloves it for the out. 2 outs. Valentine, who singled with 1 out in the second inning, went to third on Parrish's double and scored when May singled in the Expos 2 run. Valentine reminds me of a right-handed Dave Parker. Good power, good ball player. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm, and he can beat you with his bat. First pitch to him. Fastball inside, just missing, ball one. Fryman is set. The ball one pitch. He swings and misses. Tried to hold back on a swing, but he couldn't. It's now 1-1 on Valentine. Tying run on second base for Montreal as Moore continues to warm up in the Cubs bullpen. Now Fryman is set. Here's the 1-1 pitch, curveball. Swing and a little looper into center field. Base hit. It bounces past Kleins. Valentine will go to second, and the tying run will score. So Valentine hits a double in the center field as that ball bounced on the wet turf, just bounced beyond the reach of Kleins. It's Valentine's third RBI of the season. It ties up this ball game at 3-3. It's the fifth hit off Fryman, and it puts Valentine on second base with the lead run for Parrish, who doubled down the left field line in the second inning. So we have a brand new ball game. Cubs 3, Expos 3. First pitch to Parrish. High, ball one. Cubs are not paying any attention to Valentine. They want to get the third out. Here's the pitch, pop foul, out of play. Woody Fryman, and both Fryman and May, has pitched quite a ball game already, and they're only in the third inning. Here's the pitch. Let up. Strike called. A great let up by Fryman. And it's now 1 ball, 2 strikes on Larry Parrish. Fryman sets, checks the runners. The pitch on its way. Let up. Tap foul into the Expo dugout behind first. Parrish has a great start. Entered this game hitting .393. So you know he's up to .395. He now has 8 RBIs. The pitch on its way. Fastball high. 2-2 the count. Valentine on second base twisted his knee against Philadelphia last week. There's one just missing. Fryman would like to have had that pitch called a strike. It was right over the outside corner, but missed the corner by inches. It's 3-2. Fryman working quickly. 3-2 pitch, a let up. Popped up. Great motion with that let up. Parrish was out in front of it and pops it up to DeJesus for the third out. But in the third inning, the Expos tie this game up with 1 run and 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 man left on base. So, with the Cubs coming to bat in the third inning, it's a 3-3 ball game.
Morning. I'd like to try the breakfast with the hash browns, please.
Oh, McDonald's scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast with an English muffin, toasted English muffin.
What's the name of it?
McDonald's scrambled eggs and sausage and hash brown breakfast with a toasted English muffin.
Tra-la. But, I mean, what's the name of it?
We don't have a name.
McDonald's scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast.
But, I mean, that's too long.
Well, I guess it could use a shorter name.
You need punchy here. You need punchy name. You need name punchy quick.
Oh, you mean like Egg McMuffin?
People order fast, punchy quick name fast here.
McEng sauce hash browns.
Greg Brassage.
Egg muff sauce hash reg bread.
It doesn't flow.
2 freshly scrambled eggs.
2 scram. McScram eggs.
McScram.
Am straight.
No.
Pure pork sausage.
Maposaw.
A buttered toasted English muffin.
Toast muffin.
McMuffin.
Batolishman.
And a big helping of our great hash browns.
Oh.
Deep fried to be crispy on the outside, tender on the inside. Just like our world-famous fries.
So you do want that?
Yes, I want that. Didn't I say that?
You got it.
That's the brand for breakfast. I'll have that.
Our scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns breakfast.
Would you like some McDonald's coffee with that?
McGuffey.
McGuffey.
Dave Kingman will lead off the third inning. With Kleins on third base, in the first inning, Kingman bunted beautifully past the pitcher, and Parrish could not throw him out. It was a base hit, and Kingman got his third RBI of the season. Now Rudy May on the mound into the windup. First pitch by the southpaw. Fastball swing, a ground ball in the hole. Spire has it. He slips as he tries to make the play but cannot throw the ball. He went back on the outfield grass, which is wet and damp, and could not make the play, so Kingman is credited with an infield hit. His second hit of the day, 5th hit off May, and here's Bobby Mercer at that. Mercer had a fielder's choice in the first inning. When Perez's throw to Spire, and Spire dropped his throw for an error, Mercer was credited with the fielder's choice. Kingman was safe at second on the air. First pitch to Mercer is a ball inside. Nobody out. Kingman at first. We're all tied up 3-3. The left-hander, the veteran Rudy May, is ready. Here's the pitch. Curveball for a strike called over the outside corner. Both Rudy May and Woody Fryman will not overpower you. They are control pitchers with a good fastball. By that, I don't mean they don't have a fastball, but they use the breaking pitch, the let-up, as Fryman did the top of this inning, and depend on control to retire hitters. Time is called now at the plate as Mercer asked for time and got it from umpire Quick. 1 ball, 1 strike on Bobby. Now Mercer is set, so is May. The pitch. Fastball popped up behind the plate. It's out of play. Onto the net. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Perez holding Kingman on at first base. Both clubs with 3 runs, 5 hits. But the Cubs still have their 3 outs left in the third inning. Now May sets, looks at Kingman at first. Here's the pitch. Curveball, swinging a foul off of the shins of Carter, and that baby really is painful. He jumped as if somebody stuck a pin in him. One ball, 2 strikes on Mercer as Rudy May came over the outside corner with a curveball. I want to thank Ron Santo for his kind remarks this morning on Wally Phillips' show. I thought that interview picked up the show tremendously. Santo deserves a lot of credit. Here's the curveball. He reaches out and pops it up to the shortstop. Spire's there, and he has it. And when Santo was mentioning about catchers talking to the hitters, they do that quite often just to get your attention off of your concentration with a pitcher. Yogi Berra used to sing when in a particular situation. He would sing when Ted Williams came to the plate many times to try to get Ted to concentrate on his singing voice rather than his pitcher. There's a strike called to Ontiveros. Yogi Berra was singing to Williams one day, and Williams hit one 480 feet out of the ballpark. And as he turned in the batter's box to circle the bases, he said, "Yogi, I'll be back here in about a minute. I'll catch the end of that song when I touch home plate." Here's a swing, a line drive. That's a trouble down the right field line. Fair ball. Goes against the wall. Kingman rounds third. Amalfitano's going to try to score him. Spire drops the relay, and Kingman scores. Amalfitano, the gambler, coaching at third, and he will gamble many, many times during the year. And this reporter is in agreement with him. If you're going to get thrown out at the plate. Don't be left on third. And that's Amalfitano's theory and philosophy of coaching. And let me tell you, that ball was coming in from Valentine with a great arm. It was a little off target at second base, but Spire would have had a chance to get Kingman. But when you let your opponent start throwing that ball around, something's apt to happen. It did. Spire dropped the ball, and Kingman scored all the way from first. The Cubs lead 4-3. Credit Ontiveros with a double and an RBI, his first of the season. The pitch to Trio, swinging a ground ball to third baseman. Parrish has it, holds up Ontiveros at second, and then throws very poorly to first, and it pulls Perez off the bag. That's the third error for this Montreal infield. Spire has two, Parrish has one. Parrish played the ball perfectly until he released it to Perez. He fielded the ball properly, looked at Ontiveros to chase him back to second, and then fired before he could pick up Perez at first. And his ball was to the right field side of first base. It's an error on number 5, Parrish. Ontiveros is still at second. Trio is now on first with one out. Rader the hitter. Rader doubled over Valentine's head in right in the second inning. The pitch, curved ball for a strike call. Rader was leaning back away from that curve ball, and it nipped the corner. Rudy May on the mound. Now right-hander Dews warming up for the Expos. Here's the pitch. Curve ball. That one into the dirt, taken nicely by Carter as he moved to his left. Cub runners on first and second with one out. One ball, one strike. Rader levels that bat over the plate. May has a sign from Carter. Now checks the base runners. The pitch on its way now. Rader takes a curveball, and he swings at it and couldn't hit that ball if he tried. He missed it by about 3 feet as that ball started over the outside corner and broke far outside. So May trying to keep the fastball inside to Rader and keeping that curveball far outside. The southpaw is ready once again. The pitch. Rader wouldn't chase that one. And it's outside for a ball. 2-2 the count. Cubs with a one-run lead and an opportunity to add to it. Runners on first and second, one out. The ball 2, strike 2 pitch now to Dave Rader. Curve ball over his head. Wouldn't break, and it's 3-2. Throwing Rader a lot of curveballs. Cubs have scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. For their 4 runs, Montreal scored 2 in the second and 1 in the third. So even in this cold weather, there's been 11 hits by both ball clubs. and 7 runs, and we haven't completed 3 innings of play. The 3-2 pitch by May. The pitch, curveball, swinging a ground ball to second baseman. Cash has it, goes to Spire for 1. No attempt for a double play. As the ball was hit very slowly to Cash, the runners were not moving. So he took the force out at second base. 2 outs for Woody Fryman, and he won't be cheated out of his swings, I'll guarantee you that. He tried to sacrifice in the second inning on 3 attempts and failed. Now Cub runners on the corners, first and third. Fryman can help his own cause here by throwing a base hit someplace in that outfield. First pitch by May. He takes a strike, a fastball over the inside corner. Dews, a right-hander, continues to throw in the Montreal bullpen. Mays has a sign. Stretches the pitch. Swinging a ground ball right back to the pitcher. May, he has it. Rudy throws the first for the out. But in the third inning, Cubs come up with 1 run on 2 hits, 1 more error in the inning. The Expos have made an error in each of the first 3 innings. 2 men left on the bases. At the end of 3 innings of play, it's Cubs 4, Montreal 3. Well, let's see if Woody Fryman can hang on to that 1-run lead. Both pitchers have thrown a lot of pitches. I doubt whether either man will be able to finish this ball game. But, of course, that's to be seen as we continue. Fryman will face Spire, the pitcher Rudy May, and then the top of the order, Cromartie. The New York Mets lead St. Louis 2-0. St. Louis batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. Zachary doing a very fine job. And Oakland and Minnesota tied 1-1 at the end of 5 1/2. First pitch to Chris Spire. Pop foul, out of play. If there was ever a first ball fastball hitter, it's this gentleman in the batter's box. Woody Fryman on the mound, the veteran. Into the windup, here's the pitch. Swinging a ground ball to the second baseman. Manny Trio waits. He has it. Tosses it to Bittner for the out. 1 out. Now here's Rudy May going to bat for himself. He should. He singled in 2 runs in the second inning to tie up this ball game. Rudy, a left-handed hitter against the left-handed thrower and pitcher Woody Fryman. First pitch, a swing and a fly ball short center field. Kleins is there, moves in under it. He has it for the out. First pitch. May flies out to Kleins. 2 outs now. Say, when you're at Wrigley Field, pick up some tickets for a future game. The Wrigley Field box office is open Monday through Saturdays all season long. It's also open on Sundays when our Cubs are playing at Wrigley Field. Here's Woody's first pitch. Strike call right down the middle. Box office hours are 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. weekdays, 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. weekends. Sidearm pitch for a strike call. Remember, you can call 248-7900. 248-7900. Charge tickets on your MasterCharge or Visa card. Message furnished by the Chicago Cubs. There's one just missing the outside corner, and it's ball 1, strike 2. Swinging a line drive, base hit to center field by Cromartie. He just reached out and poked that ball into center field for a base hit. So, once again, Montreal has a base runner after 2 are out. Now here's Cash at bat. That is the 6th hit off Fryman. Dave Cash, the veteran second baseman, 0 for 2 today. Steps in the batter's box with that closed stance. He's up about 1.5 inches on that bat handle. First pitch, fastball swing, ground ball, base hit into left field. So now Woody has to go to work on Dawson, who tripled in the first inning, walked in the third. Two outs. Sometimes that third out is tough to get. Dawson batting third, the manager Dick Williams lineup. And Donnie Moore, once again, will start to heat up in the Cubs bullpen. Woody Fryman is ready, checks the runners. First pitch on the way to Dawson. Fastball high outside, ball one. After the first two men were retired here in the fourth inning, Cromartie single to center and Cash single to left. Runners on first and second. One ball pitch now to Dawson. Fastball just missing outside, and he's behind, ball two, no strikes. This is not the spot you want to be in when you're leading only by one run. Fryman is ready. The veteran delivers. Dawson takes outside. Ball three. It's 3-0, and Carter due up next. Now we'll see if Dawson has been given the green light. Right-handed hitter levels the bat over the plate. Fryman is ready. He sets. Here's the pitch. Fastball. He swings. It's off of Fryman's glove. It jumps up right in front of his face. He grabs it, throws to first base for the out. Fine play by Woody, and Dawson was given the green light on a 3-0 pitch. But once again, that old bugaboo of getting base hits after two are out is hanging around Montreal. In the fourth inning, no runs, 2 hits, 2 men left on base. Cubs come to bat in the fourth inning. It's the Cubs 4, Montreal 3.
I need lead-free gas. How do I know which one's a good one?
I always go with the #1 brand. I paid a lot of money for this car. I want a great lead-free gasoline for it.
I'm a standard dealer. What I tell my customers is that today's new cars run on lead-free fuel, but they don't all run the same way on it. So we standard dealers give you a lead-free choice. Our lead-free Amoco in the blue pump is the Midwest's best-selling lead-free. Ever since the lead-free age began, lead-free Amoco has been preferred by new car buyers. And now there's a second lead-free Amoco gasoline. Higher octane Amoco premium lead-free in the gold pump. It's designed for cars old and new that need higher octane to run the way they should.
You get a choice at Standard.
I like that Amoco in the blue pump. Amoco Premium's great.
See your independent Standard dealer near you and get his lead-free choice. You expect more from a leader.
We're going into the fourth inning, and the Cubs will send their leadoff hitter, Ivan DeJesus. Single in the first inning and was safe on an error by the shortstop Spire in the second. So, with the Cubs having 4 runs on that board, this is DeJesus' third time at bat, and we're only in the fourth inning. When you get up to that plate 5 or 6 times, you work very hard for that second hit. You need at least 2 a day to keep that batting average up. First pitch is a high curveball, ball 1. They're in the bottom of the ninth in St. Louis. Mets holding on 2-0. Cardinals batting. Here's a swing and a ground ball to shortstop. Spire has it. Straightens up, fires to Perez, 1 out. 1 away. Here's Gene Kleins. Doubled in a run in the first inning. And then forced DeJesus at second base in the second to drive in his second run. Kingman has 1 run driven in with a beautiful bunt with Kleins on third in the first inning. And Ontiveros drove in a run with a double down the right field line. First pitch to Kleins, a strike right down the middle. 2 left-handers going against one another today. Rudy May and Fryman. The pitch. Swing and a pop-up over the second baseman's head in the short right. Cash quickly goes out. still backing up and makes the play. 2 outs. Tomorrow, Dennis Lamp gets the call. Young right-hander. And he'll go against Twitchell of the Expos, formerly with Philadelphia. Here's Larry Bittner at bat. Has not had any success against Rudy May. Struck out in the first inning, then he struck out in the second. And that's only the 4th time that Larry has struck out this year. Swing and a foul off of the glove of Carter. Strike 1. Bittner batting. 4th inning, Cubs leading 4-3. 2 outs, nobody on base. The pitch. Off the glove of Carter, back to the screen. 1-1 to count. One ball, one strike. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
This is WGN Radio Chicago.
Thank you, Mary D. Ball 2, strike 1 now to Bittner. And here's Rudy May's next pitch. A swing and a tap foul off of the foot of Bittner. Two and 2 the count. May looks in, gets his sign. The pitch. Sidearm curveball swing. There's one hit deep to right field. Way back. Going. Kiss it goodbye. It's a home run. A home run by Bittner. Yes, sir. That is Bittner's second home run of the season. His 5th RBI. Well, after striking out twice, Bittner got a hold of one of May's curveballs, drives it on a catwalk. The Cubs now lead 5-3. Here's Kingman at bat now. Cubs keep at least 1 run coming in every inning. Scored 2 in the first. Kingman, 2 for 2 today. He swings and misses at the first pitch. 2 outs. That's the way to score after the first 2 men go down. You don't get singles. Hit one out of the ballpark. Let up, and he reached for that one. Strike 2. That was the Cubs' 4th home run of this season, and Bittner got the last one against Pittsburgh. The pitch. Curveball, tap, foul. So now the Cubs have had 2 home runs on the road and 2 at home. The pitch to Kingman. Swinging a fly ball, short left field. Spire going back. He's under it. He has it for the out. Closes out the 4th inning, but not before Cubs score 1 run on Bittner's 2nd home run of the year. 1 hit. Nobody left on base. And now at the end of 4 complete innings of play, it's the Cubs 5, Montreal 3.
General Finance's friendly Bob Adams to borrow up to $10,000. Call Andover 3-2020. General Finance also has an office in Elgin and in major downstate cities. Prime of the Cubs now with a 2-run lead. The Montreal Expos will have their cleanup hitter, Gary Carter, the catcher, Tony Perez, and Ellis Valentine, the first 3 batters up here in the 5th inning. We've had at least 1 man on in every inning. And in the last 3 frames, they've had at least 2 men reach. Fryman in the windup. And a strike called on a fastball to Carter. He hit one in the third inning. It sent Kingman up against the vines in left field to haul it in. Let up, swung on, and he's way out in front. Pops a high foul. It is out of play. Back into the seats on the third base side. Fryman has used that let up. Great advantage today. Each team credited with 7 hits so far. And a 5-3 score at this stage. So shooting for their 7th win of the season. Woody winds. And this is high and away, wasting it. Ball 1, strike 2. Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing the New York Mets 2-0. 1-2 delivery. Fastball swung on at a high pop-up, foul territory, third base side. Alvarez coming over, has a play in the ball, and he grabs it for the out. Good fastball. That will bring up Tony Perez. Spanned and fouled out right near the bag at first base to Bittner. Tony 1 for 6 in the series. Bases empty, Fryman in the windup. Perez swings and he hammers one right off the glove of Fryman, and it's into center field like a blue dart. Barely grazed the glove. Hit number 8 for the Montreal Expos, and that will bring up Ellis Valentine. He doubled in the third inning, momentarily tied up the ball game at 3-all. He singled in the second inning with 1 away and came in when Rudy May, the pitcher, got himself a 2-run single with the bases loaded. So Valentine today, 2 for 2. The pinch hitter yesterday, the big right-hander, fanned. Fastball, he goes after it. Hits a high fly near the right field foul line. Bobby Mercer on the dead run. He reaches out and he grabs it just before he crosses the foul line and then crashes up against the foam rubber padding in the wall. Long run by Mercer and a very fine catch. There are 2 gone. Perez back at first base. And it'll bring to bat Larry Parrish, who doubled and scored in the second inning on Rudy May's base hit. That wind blowing from left to right. It carried that ball a long, long way from where it started out. First pitch is a strike called on a fastball right at the letters to Parrish. He has hit safely in 9 straight games now. Very wide stance for the right-hander. Fastball. Missed outside. It popped out of Rader's mitt, got behind him, and he whirled frantically for a moment. Wasn't quite sure where the ball was and was afraid that Perez was going to take off for second, but Tony stayed. Ball 1, strike 1. Pat Zachary and the New York Mets have shut out the Cardinals, winning it 2-0 this afternoon at St. Louis. The Mets starting out surprisingly strong. They've won 8, lost 5. The Cardinals now 5-7. 1-1 pitch. Fastball. Misses high. Ball 2, strike 1. Woody, that kind, came right over the top with it. He's into the stretch. 2-1 delivery. Lets up on it. He swings and lets a high fly ball. Climbs in the dead run, getting under it, waving anybody away, and he makes the 2-handed catch to retire Montreal in the 5th inning. Parrish. No fly ball to center, no runs. 1 hit, they leave a man on. The Expos have stranded 7 men. The Cubs come to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning at Wrigley Field, leading Montreal 5-3. Bobby Mercer made a fine catch to prevent some possible trouble in the top of this inning. Is going to lead off here in the 5th, and he's 0 for 2 so far today. Left-hander Rudy May delivers. Curveball. Broke sharply and missed outside. He wouldn't chase it. Ball 1. They had almost 7,000 down at St. Louis today for that game. 1-0 pitch. Fastball this time. It's outside. 2-0 on Bobby. Our ticker reports that both the Mets and the Cardinals had 2 hits. 2-0 pitch. Takes a cut at it, fouls it, and it rolls over to the first baseline. Ball 2, strike 1 in the Cub right fielder. Getting maximum production. The Mets are, if that is correct, 2 runs on 2 hits. Veteran Rudy May in the windup, 2-1 delivery. Mercer swings, hits a hard shot. Perez grabs it at first base, throws to the pitcher covering, and a fine play by the Montreal Expos. Tony Perez at first base, moving quickly towards second. To glove that ball, had to stick the glove out as far as he could go on it. And then Rudy May coming off that mound in a hurry to take the throw from Perez just in front of Mercer. Got him by a couple of steps, and there's 1 away. That brings up Steve Ontiveros, who doubled and drove in his first run of the season in the 3rd inning, bringing in Kingman from first base. First pitch, swung on. He hits 1 foul. Skips over against the wall on the third base side. Strike 1 count for the Cubs' third baseman. Pat Zachary going the distance down at St. Louis today for his 2nd win for the Mets, a 2-hit shutout of the Cards. 0-1 pitch. His high fastball. What a 1. May winds. Ontiveros takes. It misses just inside at the letters. Ball 2, strike 1 on Steve. Now the 2-1 delivery. Swung on, and he hits a high, soft fly ball into shallow left field. Long run being made and grabbed by Warren Cromartie. Very shallow left. Kenny Holtzman pitching this afternoon for the New York Yankees up at Toronto. Had a good outing up at against the Brewers up in Milwaukee last week. And he trio in. He swings, hits a hard liner grab of the third baseman Larry Parrish, almost knocked him down. A vicious line drive to third, and the Cubs in the 5th inning go down in order for the first time this afternoon. At the end of 5 at Wrigley Field. Montreal coming to bat. Chris Spire to lead off against Woody Fryman, and the Cubs leading 5-3. Fryman just finishes his warm-up tosses. Chris Spire walked in the 2nd inning, grounded out when he led off the 4th. This should be the first man up, and he's stepping into the batter's box. Mayor Bolandic is declared today Old Timers Day in Chicago. That's the Chicago Old Timers Baseball Association. And they'll be having their annual dinner tonight out at Ferrara Manor, starting at 7 o'clock. Some of the Cubs, including General Manager Bob Kennedy and Field Manager Herman Franks on hand, along with a lot of other baseball notables of the past and present. First pitch is a fastball high and tight to Spire, right-hander. There are a few tickets still available at the door for tonight's dinner. 1-0 delivery. Checks his swing. That's a strike called on a good fastball. 1-1 on Spire. Wind up by Woody. 1-1 pitch. Fouled back up into the upper deck. On the first base side, 1-2 on him. And I'm happy to be on hand at that fair tonight to act as master of ceremonies for the Old Timers. 1-2 pitch. Another fastball. Misses high and away. Bill Beck is slated to be there. Wind up, 2-2 pitch. Another fastball. This time it is inside above the knees. 3-2. Here's the windup and the 3-2 delivery. Swung on and a deep drive, left field. Kingman back against the vines. That ball is hit. It is gone. Despite the fact the wind is blowing in at 17 miles an hour. On a full count, Chris Fire has just drilled one out of the catwalk in left field, his second home run of the year. It is now the Cubs 5, Montreal 4. Got the fastball, and he really hammered it. Each team with one homer. We're going to have a pinch hitter now for the Expos. Young Stan Pappy, P-A-P-I. Right-hander stepping in, batting for Rudy May. He swings at the first pitch and hits a pop-up back at second base that Manny Trio's going to gather in. He's there, and he's got it. Barely on the edge of the grass. Well, that didn't take long. One away. Top of the batting order up, Cromartie. Singles in the fourth inning. He's 1 for 3 today. Minnesota Twins and Weiniger's homer in the bottom of the sixth inning have taken the lead over the Oakland A's 2-1 at the end of 6. Cromartie, a left-hander, he goes after the first pitch, and he fouls it. It's going to be back up onto the net behind the plate. Strike one count. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Close ball game, 5-4 score. Cubs leading. Donnie Moore, once more, in the Cub bullpen, warming up. Fryman has thrown an awful lot of pitches today. Now the veteran into the windup, and here's the pitch. Cromartie takes it high. Ball 1, strike 1. Right-hander Stan Bonson, a veteran throwing in their bullpen. 1-1 delivery. Swung on a hard one-hopper to Bittner at first base, and he's got himself an unassisted putout. Fryman lit up a bit on it. Cromartie out in front. With the bases empty, 2 gone, here in the top of the 6th, Dave Cash is singled in the 4th inning, will be the batter. His single, and Cromartie's ahead of him, came after the first 2 batters had been retired. Davey, 2 for 6 now in the series. Here's the pitch. And the right-hander takes a strike, a good fastball. Fryman now working quickly, winds. Cash takes another good fastball for a strike. Let her high away from him. 0-2. Wind up, and the pitch. Sinks a little bit too much. Ball 1, strike 2. Nobody on. Here's the windup and the 1-2 pitch. Swung on. He's out in front of that one. Bounces it foul in and out of the Cub dugout behind third. Retrieved over there by Coach Norm Sherry. So the count stays 1-2. Here's the pitch. Throws his bat at that outside delivery, and it's a foul ball that drifts into the box seats out over the heads of the bullpen crew for Montreal on the right field line. Fryman working quickly. 1-2 delivery. Sails high. Fastball. 2-2. Each team with a home run. One by Bittner for the Cubs. Cash has suddenly called time. Wants to step onto the batter's box to get readjusted. And here in this inning, a leadoff shot off the bat of Chris Fire. 2-2 delivery. Blitz up on it. He swings. Hits one down to Alvarez at third. Steve's got it. The peg to Bittner, and the side is retired. 1 run, 1 hit, and for the first time today, the Montreal Expos do not leave a man on base. The Cubs come up. Bottom of inning number 6 at Wrigley Field. We'll find Dave Rader leading off with the score now. The Cubs 5 and the Expos 4. The veteran right-hander Stan Bonson, throughout most of his career, has been a starting pitcher. And he told me before the ball game today that he expects to do some starting this year, but he feels comfortable in the relief role, kind of likes the idea of it. when you get into the busy part of the schedule and a few double headers. And said, I guess I'll be doing some starting, too. Bronson, now 33 years of age, makes his home down in Pompano Beach, Florida. 6'3", about 200. And like starting pitcher Rudy May, he's been in the majors 10 years. Right-hander Dave Rader steps in, and he takes the first pitch for a strike. They also have the veteran left-hander Darrell Knowles in the Montreal bullpen to be with the Cubs, of course. 0-1 delivery. Swung on. A hard shot in and out of the glove of the pitcher. Bronson picks it up right in front of him, throws over to Perez, and there's one away. Woody Fryman due up now for the Cubs. I see Rudy Mioli down there in the dugout. Just takes his jacket off. And a bat. Plunks on the batting helmet. And another newcomer to the Cubs this year. Rudy out of the American League. Got a bat one time officially. Good speed. But Woody Fryman out of there. And Woody cannot be the loser in this ballgame. Johnny Moore has been up and down in that bullpen like a yo-yo today. He's out there throwing down, and it appears that Donnie's going to be the new pitcher for the Cubs when we go into the inning number 7. Vince Lloyd here with you at Wrigley Field. And we've got another one of those one-run affairs. As things have been going this year, we may have more of them this season than anything else. But they're exciting. Montreal got Bonson last May 22nd. They sent Mike Jurgensen to the A's for him. They got him the day they broke their longest losing streak of the year. Right-hander delivers. And Rudy Mioli takes one to high, ball 1. They had lost 11 straight. And he immediately got into the starting rotation. And he really did a good job, helped to stabilize their pitching staff. 1-0 delivery. Took a cut, couldn't find the ball. 1-1, pitched just above the knees. He won 6 of his first 8 decisions with Montreal last year. First one, he beat the Mets. And he won 5 in a row in July. 1-1 pitch. High and tight for the fastball. 2-1. Born out in Iowa, Council Bluffs. Now lives down in Florida. 2-1 delivery. Rudy swings, and it's a ground ball right side. Past Perez, but it's picked up by Cash, and he throws to Bonson covering for the out. Despite Rudy's good speed, he couldn't quite leg it out. 2 gone, bases empty in the 6th inning. And we'll have the top of the batting order up. Ivan DeJesus, who has reached twice today on a single and an error. He has stolen a base. He scored a run. Came in on Klein's double in the 1st inning. And the Cubs shortstop in the 4th inning grounded out. Atlanta has gotten underway at San Francisco. Did not score in the top of the 1st inning against the Giants. Jim Barr going for San Francisco. Ruth Venn for the Braves. First pitch, and DeJesus looks at a ball, just missing outside. Wind up by Bonson. Fastball swung on, and he hits a high pop-up. Coming over to the right is Davy Cash. Second baseman has hollered off the ball, and it's grabbed by Ellis Valentine, the right fielder, on the dead run. So the Cubs go down in order against Bonson in the 6th inning. And at the end of 6, it's the Chicago Cubs 5 and the Montreal Expos 4. Well, Oakland 3 runs on the board up at Minnesota in the top of the 7th inning to regain the lead from the Twins, 4-2 at the end of 7. Lacey now pitching for the A's against Johnson for the Twins. Neither starter, Langford nor Zahn, on the premises. And Holtzman going for the Yankees up at Toronto against Garvin. Giants batting in the bottom of the 1st inning on the West Coast against the Atlanta Braves. Only one San Francisco Giant got a base hit last night against Atlanta. Johnny LeMaster with a single. Andre Dawson stepping in against Donnie Moore. Right-hander Wines. Here's the pitch. Fastball. High and tight. Well, Fryman could pick up his first victory of the year if the Cubs can hold on to this lead. Moore winds. There's a swing and a ground ball. DeJesus a step to his right, picks it up, and the peg retires Dawson. One away in the top of the 7th. That'll bring up Gary Carter. Moore, Johnny on the spot, pick up a win for the Cubs over at Pittsburgh. Been in 4 games this year. In addition to the win, he has a save against the Mets. Worked 5 innings, given up 3 hits, and only 1 earned run. And that was a homer off of him. It's a swing and a foul off the batter. That really has to sting on a day like this. Johnny's earned run average, 1.80 coming into this action. Cubs staff earned run average is at dandy starting today. Just a shade over 3. Here's the pitch. Swung on. Fouled out of play. Let's pause a moment for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
28 and a half minutes past 3 o'clock. This is WGN Radio Chicago.
Score, Cubs 5, Montreal 4. Expos batting in the top of the 7th with 1 out and nobody on base. Donnie Wines, here's the pitch. Swung on, didn't have a good cut at that one. He fouls it, it's back out of play. In and out of the upper deck, another souvenir for a happy kid over on the first base side. Moore getting a stick from trainer Tony Garofalo to dig some of the mud out of his spikes. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau here with you, our engineer, enjoying the little coolness that we have at Wrigley Field today. Eddie Archambault, Jack Vinovich, our producer. Cubs tallied in each of the first 4 innings. Wide stance at the plate by Carter. Here's the pitch to him. He takes, and it misses outside. Ball 1, strike 2 on him. White Sox are idle today. They were rained out at Detroit yesterday. 1-2 delivery. Fastball swung on. Ground ball back up the middle, and it's in for a base hit. Earl Carter is on for the first time today. And with 1 away, here in the 7th inning, that's a tying run that the Expos have over at first base for Tony Perez, who singled with 1 out in the 5th, and he's 1 for 3 today. Dangerous hitter. First pitch. Swung on. Hard ground ball. Off the chest of Trio. Picks it up. Throws to first base to Bittner. Perez is out of there. Might have been a double play ball, but it was a tough one to handle as Manny had to go a couple of steps towards first base. Luckily, he was there to knock that ball down, pick it up, and make the play. They now have the tying run in scoring position at second with 2 away. And Ellis Valentine, who's driven in a run today, has scored a run, is 2 for 3, steps into the batter's box. His double in the 3rd inning brought in Dawson, and that tied up the ball game at that time. Now the Cubs back out in front. Takes a cut at the first pitch and misses. Went right over for that swing. Cold wind coming in off Lake Michigan. Temperature probably around 40, 42 degrees now. 0-1 pitch. Swung on. He hits a high chopper foul, third base side. 0-2 on Dawson. Neither starting pitcher, left-handers Rudy May and Woody Fryman, on the scene right now. Johnny looks at the runner at second. That's a tying run. 0-2 delivery. Into the dirt. Gets away from Rader. Comes back to the backstop. The runner going to third. Makes a turn and holds. Wild pitch. Charge against Johnny Moore. Really wasted that one. Don't do it again, or this game will be tied. Johnny looks smaller than he really is. He's pretty compactly built. Pretty muscular kid. Stands just a shade under 6 feet. Call time as he has to relace his right shoe out there. Alice Valentine is opponent in the batter's box. 23-year-old outfielder. A lot of skills. Now the pitch swung on. A one-hopper right into the glove of Donnie. He takes his time, wheels and tosses to Bittner, and that takes care of Montreal in the 7th inning. Carter had tried to shake him up a little bit, dancing in the base paths at third, but he ignored him. No runs, 1 hit. Montreal leaves a man stranded, and it's time for the Cubs fans' 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field. With the score still, the Cubs 5, Montreal 4. Well, it's a small crowd, but they're really enthusiastic. Delighted, of course, to have their favorites out in front, and hoping, like you and me, that they can hang on to this lead. Perhaps add on to it. Dan Bonson, in his 2nd inning of relief, will be facing Gene Kleins, Larry Bittner, Dave Kingman. And the highlight of this game, for me at least, is Kingman in the 1st inning with Kleins over at third base, startling the daylights out of the Expos by dropping a beautiful bunt from the third base side of the mound for a single and bringing in Gene Kleins with the Cubs' 2nd run of the day. Bonson delivers. Right-hander just misses inside with a fastball. Ball 1. One game ended, as we reported, down at St. Louis. Pat Zachary, 2-hitter against the Cardinals. And the Mets a winner 2-0. There's a ball that's blown away. 2-0 now. Giants in Atlanta finished 2 innings on the West Coast at Candlestick Park. No score. 2-0 pitch. Swung on. A well-hit drive center field. Going back is Dawson. He's there. And he makes the catch. 1 away in the bottom of the 7th inning, and that will bring up Larry Bittner, who, after striking out twice today against Rudy May, in the 4th inning, drilled one onto the catwalk in right field, his 2nd home run of this young season. And right now, that's the difference in the ball game. Now he faces the right-hander Bonson. Dan delivers. Fastball just missed outside. Ball 1. Base is empty with 1 away. 5-4 Cubs. 1-0 pitch. Stepped into it, swings, bounces one just foul down the first base side. 1-1 on Larry. Very overcast. Threat of rain or perhaps snow in the air. Darrell Knowles, one time with the Cubs. Spent a couple of seasons here. The left-hander I was talking about earlier, warming up for him in their bullpen. 1-1 delivery. He takes it inside. 2-1. See if he can get on. Maybe we can get another run or two. And go at the top with that one, and it's a ball low and away. Ball 3, strike 1. 1 out. Here's the pitch. Swung on. He went after the 3-1 and fouls it right back up under the backstop. Ball 3, strike 2. Joe Wallace loosening up down the left field line. Likely getting set to come in for defensive purposes. 3-2 pitch. He swings, hits one foul down the left field side into the box seats. Surprising Oakland A's out in front of Minnesota this afternoon, 4-2. 3-2 pitch. Bittner fouls that one high over to the left side. Out of play. A's in second place starting today in that American League Western Division and only a game and a half behind Kansas City. 3-2 pitch. Taken for strike 3. Thought it was going to be outside. It must have barely nipped the corner away just above the knees. So they're 2 gone. And Bittner, who started the day with 1 strikeout in his first 24 trips to the plate, has fanned 3 times today. Here's Dave Kingman. Got that bunt single. Driving in a run in the first inning, got an infield hit and scored in the third. Popped up his last time at bat. He swings and fouls one into the seats over in the first base side. Strike 1 count. The fella got that bat on the plate a time or two to check it. Now he's standing outside the batter's box. They're playing him to pull, but Dawson, the center fielder, is not too deep out there in left center. Spire very deep at short. Cash shaded, and he's deep up the middle. Now the pitch to him. Goes after it, and he gets a high foul that's back up out of play. 0-2. The Montreal Expos here tomorrow for the final game of this series. The Cubs then will take on the New York Mets, who have been playing outstanding ball here early in the year. 0-2 pitch. Checks his swing, and that one breaks outside. Ball 1, strike 2. They got another good pitching performance today from Pat Zachary. 2-hitter over the Cardinals. 1-2 pitch. Swung on. He got just a piece of it. He had to reach out across the plate after that one. Fouled it out of the mid of Gary Carter. So Dave still alive with a count of ball 1, strike 2. Ten-year veteran Stan Bonson in the hill. Here's the windup, the delivery. Dave swings and misses for strike 3, and the Cubs have gone down in order for the second time against Bonson. He struck out 2 of the first 6 batters that he's faced since coming on to relief. He's tough. At the end of 7. Cubs lead 5-4.
Fox Lake.
Gene Clines has switched over to left field. Dave Kingman out of the ball game. And in center field is Joe Wallace. Bobby Mercer staying in right. And the Cubs with Larry Bittner, Manny Trio, Ivan De Jesus, and Steve Olivares in the infield. The battery of Donnie Moore, Dave Rader, and in the batter's box for the Montreal Expos to lead off the 8th inning, third baseman Larry Parrish doubled and scored in the 2nd inning. 1 for 3 today. Paul Russell will repeat, put on the 21-day disabled list today. An inflammation of the right elbow. Moore's first pitch, and the right-handed hitter takes a ball inside. Parrish a 9-game hitting streak with that double in the 2nd inning. Bruce Sitter throwing in the bullpen. 1-0 pitch. Another fastball missed inside. 2-0. Bruce, of course, got a save in yesterday's ball game for Ray Burris. He's battling a cold. Wind up, 2-0 delivery. Swung on, and a deep drive center field going to be caught. Wallace to his left is there. Joe grabs it, One away. Rudy May, which started this ball game today for the Montreal Expos, had battled an upset stomach much of the night. He didn't think it was a cold, wasn't quite sure what it was. And he gave way here this afternoon for a pinch hitter, Stan Pappy, in the 6th inning. Now Chris Spire stepping into the batter's box, the 8th man in the batting order. And he takes ball inside. When he led off the 6th inning, and Fryman ran the count to 3-2, Spire, ready for the next one, drilled it onto the catwalk in left field for his 2nd home run of the year. He's walked and grounded up. Fastball sinks a little low, 2-0. Wayne Garrett, strawberry-topped veteran over in the on-deck circle, getting ready to pinch hit. 2-0 delivery. Fastball, a little bit low, 3-0. Garrett's brother Adrian now playing ball over in Japan. Moore's 3-0 pitch, Spire will take, and it's in there. Ball 3, strike 1. One away, bases empty. Top of the 8th inning. Cubs 5, Montreal 4, 3-1 pitch. Spire swings, a high chopper. Trio coming in. Then he's got it at second. Throws over to Bittner. 2 away. Now the left-handed hitting Wayne Garrett. Had some pretty good days against the Cubs, especially when he was with the New York Mets, and he played a lot at third base last year when Parrish went into a slump. Saying that his brother Adrian over in Japan had hit. There's a swing and a foul. It's going to be out of play, just over our heads into the upper deck. It hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive games for his team in Japan. That is a record, he said, over there. Wayne, 1 hit in his first 10 at-bats this year. Takes that one low. Ball 1, strike 1. Strawberry curls up from under that batting helmet. Nobody on, 2 away. Johnny Benz gets his sign. Right-hander in the windup in the 1-1 delivery. Garrett takes it low. Ball 2, strike 1. Or look down to see if there'd been some mud caught in his spikes. Didn't see any. Climbed slowly back up the hill. Came on at the start of the 7th. 2-1 delivery. Swing and a miss. 1 after 1 down around the knees. 2-2. The Braves and the San Francisco Giants have played 3 innings without a score on the West Coast today. Giants had a good house out there last night, over about 7,500. 2-2 pitch. It's a little low. 3-2. Slim crowd again here today. The paid 2,227. 22-27 paid. 3-2 pitch with 2 out. Swung on, and a drive down the left field line. Gene Klein's in the dead run, and the ball drops in foul territory out of his reach. Garrett will come back to the plate. The count remains full. But it is frigid weather. Long way from being ideal for baseball. Let's hope by the weekend with the Mets in town that, if not tomorrow, when Montreal concludes their first visit to Chicago, hope we'll have warmer weather. Don't forget that Friday is going to be Ladies' Day. Now the windup by Moore. Swing and a ground ball foul on the first base side. Talking to those Giants, remember, when they're here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in May, 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2 of those days, Saturday and Sunday, Jacket Day. 3-2 pitch. Fastball foul down the left field line, out of play. He's still alive. Jacket giveaway weekend. Not only to get to see the Cubs and the Giants go at it, a free baseball jacket, too, on Saturday and Sunday. Cubs emblem on the front. Qualify. Tell you about that in a moment. 3-2 pitch, swung on, and a drive deep to left field. Klein's going back. Gene's in the track of it. He's got it. The side is retired. Qualify for that, you have to be among the first 15,000 youngsters with fully paid admission, bleacher tickets not included, to be 13 or under. Saturday and Sunday, May 6th and 7th. They go down in order in the 8th inning, and the Cubs come to bat at Wrigley Field, still leading Montreal 5-4.
Well, True Value Hardware stores want you to stay in tune with a busy summer ahead, so they offer General Electric portable radios to help you tune in your favorite music, news, or sporting events. Now, for example, they offer the GE AM FM TV band radio. That lets you listen to your favorite AM or FM radio station. Listen to the TV programs on VHF channels 2 through 13 without a TV set. It also operates on house current or battery, so you can use it anywhere. Yet it's just $34.88. True Value Hardware stores also offer the General Electric AM/FM pocket-sized portable radio with a 2.5-inch speaker, FM antenna, direct tuning, horizontal readout for only $12.99. Get GE portable radios at participating True Value Hardware stores.
True Value Hardware is more than just a name. It's a way of doing business that means True Value.
Well, a former teammate of the Chicago Cubs, not too many of them were around that time over, Darrell Knowles, veteran left-hander. Their third pitcher of the day. He's been in 2 ball games so far, and he has not had much success. Worked only 2/3 of an inning, giving up 2 hits and a run. The run was a homer. He'll face Bobby Mercer. Bonson worked 2 perfect innings, had 2 strikeouts in relief. Bobby goes after Knowles' first pitch and fouls it back out of play. Wind up the pitch. Sidearm delivery. A little low and away. 1-1. Wind up. There's a swing and a drive down the left field line. Foul into the box seats. 1-2 on Bobby. Knowles now 36. They got him last November from the Texas Rangers. Purchased him. In his 13th year in the majors. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, a bouncing ball to the left side. Third baseman Parrish up with it, and the peg retires Mercer, 1 away. Steve Olivares drove in his first run of the season with a double in the 3rd inning. Well, he's 1 for 3 today. Choking up in the bat a couple of inches. Looks at Darrell's first pitch, and it's a strike call. Wind up. Fastball, he had to get out of the way of that one. It was in very tight. Below the belt. Ball 1, strike 1. Darrell working quickly. Olivares swings, taps one right back out to the mound. Should be easy for Knowles. It is. 2 gone here in the 8th, and that'll bring up Manny Trio. Been on once and an error. Officially, Cubs second baseman, 0 for 3. With the Philadelphia Phillies idle today, the Cubs, who start the afternoon trailing the Phils by just a few percentage points, could move in the number 1 spot in the division. He looks at a strike. Wind up the pitch. Swung on, he fouls one into the box seats, back of first base. 0-2. Darrell, a native of the Show Me State, makes his home in the little town of Blue Springs, Missouri. 0-2 pitch. In too close at the knees, 1-2. Of course, he was on the great teams that Charlie Finley had in Oakland in the World Series. Wily veteran, as they say. Wines delivers. Trio takes a ball inside above the knees, 2-2. Bases empty in the bottom of the 8th inning. 5-4 Cubs lead. There's a swing and a drive out into left field, and Cromartie coming on, grabs it one-handed. The Cubs go down in order in the 8th inning. Haven't had a man reach since Larry Bittner's 4th inning home run. We go into the 9th at Wrigley Field. Cubs 5, Expos 4.
You know, big league trades often come as a surprise to ball players, especially to the established old pro who may have been resting on his laurels. But sometimes a change of scene is good for a player. And a new face in the lineup is just what the tonic lethargic ball club needs. Of course, when it comes to beer, it's safe to say there's one trade you'll never make, because once you experience the great light taste of Heileman's Old Style beer, you'll sign a lifetime contract. Old Style is a hit right off the bat because it's brewed with water that flows sparkling pure from deep underground springs. With water like this, when you brew a beer once, you've got a good beer. And when you brew a beer twice, you've got a great light beer. This double brewing, pure brewing, is an old world process known as krausening. It's the most natural way to brew beer and the most expensive. So try Old Style, pure brewed in God's country.
Bruce Sutter, who came in yesterday to get the save for Ray Burris' victory, is the Cubs' 3rd pitcher of the day. Donnie Moore working 2 fine innings. Gave up a base hit, no runs. And now it's up to Sutter, and he could pick up his 3rd save of the season here today and help move the Cubs into first place in the division. This is, for Bruce, his 4th appearance of the season. Yesterday, in relief, was his 1st appearance in a week. Faces the top of the Montreal batting order, Ron Cromartie. The left-hander swings, lashes a drive foul into the seats down the 3rd baseline. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Braves put a run on the board at San Francisco in the top of the 4th inning. Atlanta leading the Giants 1-0. Shooter's foot-finger fastball, a strike called away from Cromartie. 0-2. If he can hold on, shut him out here, Woody Fryman would pick up the victory. Here's a swing, and he chops one down to Bittner at first base. Larry gloves it, steps in the bag, one away in the top of the 9th inning. 2 more. And the Cubs will be in first place in the Eastern Division. And will have clinched taking this series. They took the last one on the road at New York. Beat the Pirates 2 out of 3. Davy Cash steps in. The right-hander checks his swing, and the ball hits his bat and goes back foul for strike 1 on Cash. Started out like this was going to be one of those 13-12 affairs. 0-1 delivery. Swung on and missed a good fastball. 0-2 on the veteran Dave Cash. Sutter winds. Here's the pitch. That one broke sharply right into the dirt. 1-2. Giants looking at some pretty tough pitching apparently again today after having a one-hitter thrown at them last night by the Braves. Wind up, 1-2 pitch. That's low, and he wouldn't go after it. 2-2. So far, Larry Bittner's home run, the difference in this ball game. Cubs scored in each of the first 4 innings. Wind up 2-2 pitch. Backed him away. Ball 3, strike 2. Let's pause for station identification. This is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
It's a minute and a half until 4 o'clock. This is WGN Radio, Chicago.
Suter winds. Here is a ball in too close. And Davy Cash, representing the tying run of the ball game, is on at first base with a walk. He was out in front of him. Eddie Moen, too. Now wound up walking him. And Andre Dawson, who led off the third inning with a walk and eventually scored, steps in. Right-hander. First pitch. Swung on and missed. Good fastball, and he was a little late going after it. Jumped on it. Bruce into the stretch and decides he'll drive little Davy Cash back a little nearer the bag with a throw over there to Bittner. Bruce into the stretch. Here's the pitch. And he misses low. Ball 1, strike 1. Vince Lloyd and Lou Boudreau here with you at Wrigley Field, and it is cold. At a hot ball game, 5-4 in the ninth with one away. There's a pitch swung on, a grounding ball down to Alvarez. He has only one play. Throws it into the dirt. Gets away from Bittner. Here's a runner going to third, and he'll be held up, and going into second base is Dawson. And look out. Alvarez didn't have much on that one over to third base into the dirt. Bittner couldn't even keep it from going by him. Bounced a couple times. It came up right belt high to Steve. All he had to do was get it over there with enough on it. Would have at least had the second out of the inning. But now there is real trouble with a tying run at third, the go-ahead run at second. And Herman Franks going out to talk to Suter. That is the second error of the day by the Cubs. And Willie Hernandez, a left-hander, throwing quickly in the bullpen. I don't know how you explain one like that, Lou. You just can't, I guess.
Well, no, I thought he had to play at second base. Get the lead man. And it might have been close, but still, if he's got something on the ball, the force out. Forget about the double play. The ball wasn't hit sharply. But he elected to let the tying run get to second base and take his long throw across the diamond and lost the play. Now Herman, of course, talking to Suter very seriously, wanting to know how he feels. If he's got control, he may put this man on and then pitch to Perez. It depends on how Suter's arm feels and how he feels as to Herman's decision. And Suter perhaps has to decide whether he will try to get Carter and Perez or get Carter and walk Perez.
He's into the stretch in the first pitch. The right-hander takes it low and inside. With Perez, of course, he does not have good speed, and the kind of a guy that you might induce to hit into a game-ending double play. Here's a swing and a ground ball foul. Past the third base coach, Norm Sherry.
I think this was what Ontiveros was thinking about also. Dawson's speed and Cash's speed on the bases.
Got it on about the second hop, belt high. And threw it weakly to first base, and there is a ball low and away. Ball 2, strike 1. He might have figured that the time he got to the ball with Cash's good speed, he wouldn't have a shot at him. 2-1 pitch. Low and away. Ball 3, strike 1. Five to 4. Cubs lead here in the top of the ninth, and now they're going to put him on intentionally when he wouldn't go after the pitch Suter wanted him to. The bases are loaded at Wrigley Field on 2 walks and an error. And here is Tony Perez, who singled in the 5th inning. Boy, the Cubs need a double play right here. It would be their 8th of the season if they could get it. The stretch, the pitch, a swing and a miss. And a healthy rip at one, just above the knees away. Suter from the stretch, and Perez goes after that one and fouls it over to the first base side. That was the split-fingered fastball.
I'm not so worried about Perez at my end, the next hitter up there. Now, he may get a base hit, but he strikes out quite a bit also.
Yeah, he does. Love to see a double play ball. There's a stretch, the pitch. Throws that split finger curve, wasted it blowing away, and Rader down to both knees to be sure that the ball didn't get by him, because that could produce the tying run from third. Now 1-2 delivery. Swung on. He fouls that one. Back up onto the net. 1-2. The bases jammed with one out in the ninth. 5-4 Cubs. Got the first man up in the inning on an easy grounder to Bittner. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, a cut. Off the mound, barehand pick up by the pitcher, throws to the plate, force out. No chance for any double play as he took a full cut and topped the ball. About halfway out to the mound, and Suter had to come in, make a barehand pickup on that ball. Tapped very, very weakly. Came off to the third base side. All he could do, and then he just gave a little softball toss to Dave Rader for the force out. On Davy Cash, the bases are still loaded, but now they're 2 away. And the batter, Ellis Valentine. The pitch. Swung on and missed. There was a beautiful split finger fastball. Dawson, the runner at third. That's the tying run. Carter at second. Perez at first to pitch. Just missed outside at the knees. 1-1. Valentine, a single and a double in his first 2 trips up today. 1-1 delivery. The right-hander swings. Ground ball. Back a third. Foul. Ball 1, strike 2. Bases jammed by Expos. They have out-hit the Cubs today, 10-7. And Ellis Valentine, their last hope. Suter in the stretch. Bruce's pitch. Swung on. Ground ball. Gets by out of errors. Here comes a tying run to the plate, and here comes a go-ahead run. Climbs over, runs the ball, and they have runners at second and third. The ball on the shortstop side of Steve Olivares for just a fraction of a second. I thought he was going to have a play on it, but he never touched the ball. And Montreal has come from behind. They now lead 6-5. Valentine is credited with his third hit of the day. And Kleins is going to be charged with an error overrunning the ball. A couple of runs batted in for Valentine, giving him 3 for the day and 5 for the year. And in the batter's box is Larry Parrish. And the Expos have turned this one around in the 9th inning. Pitch to the ball. Here's a swing and a line single into right center field, and 2 more runs are going to score. Mercer charges in, picks it up, gets the throw to second. And Parrish driving in 2 runs with a drive into right center field, the 7th and 8th of the year. And the Montreal Expos, with 4 runs in this inning, have now taken the lead 8-5. And Chris Spire, who homered back in the 6th inning, steps into the batter's box. There's a swing and a deep drive to the center fielder, Joe Wallace, back into his left. He's under it and grabs it. They send 8 men to the plate in the 9th inning. And after the first batter is retired, a walk and an error that opened the gates. Another walk, a fielder's choice, a couple of base hits. And Montreal out in front. 4 runs and 2 hits, 2 errors in the inning. 1 man left in the bases. And we move to the bottom of the 9th inning at Wrigley Field, with Montreal now leading 8-5.
What is it?
The hash browns patty.
Hash browns.
Some people don't know a McDonald's hash brown when they see one.
Our crispy golden hash browns are a little fun funny looking. But one thing's sure, they do go great with whatever we got cooked in.
They are funny looking.
But they're delicious.
Well, I didn't ask delicious. I figured delicious. This is McDonald's. But
Yes.
I'll have some.
Get ready to smile.
McDonald's hash browns, crisp and golden on the outside, tender on the inside.
Just like our world-famous fries.
But still funny looking.
We do it all for you.
Served only at breakfast.
True Value Hardware stores want you to stay in tune with the busy summer ahead, so they offer General Electric portable radios to help you tune in to your favorite music, news, and sporting events. Hi, Pat Summerall to suggest you choose the GE AM/FM TV Portable. It'll let you listen to your favorite VHF TV program without a TV set, and it's just $34.88. The GE AM/FM Pocket Radio goes anywhere and is just $12.99. Get GE portable radios at participating True Value Hardware stores.
Dale Utzer has come on to play first base, replacing Perez. And Mejias is replacing Cromartie in left field. Sam Mejias. A couple of defensive changes by manager Dick Williams. Dale Utzer comes from Decatur, Illinois, and his dad played pro ball. Now sporting goods representative. Dale's dad here in the ballpark today. Dave Rader stepping in against Darrell Knowles to lead off the bottom of the ninth. And there's a ball outside of the left-hander. Cubs have not had a base runner since the fourth inning when with two out, nobody on, Bittner homered onto the catwalk in right field. Darrell's sidearm pitch fouled, back up out of play, ball one, strike one. Thirteen consecutive Cubs have been retired. Sidearm pitch, strike called, ball one, strike two on Rader. Before leaving the game, there's a swing and a miss, and he got him chasing that ball, breaking down and away. 14 straight Cubs now have been retired. Rudy May, after that homer, retired Kingman, Mercer, and Bears trio. Then was lifted for a pinch hitter, Stan Bonson, in 2 innings, faced 6 men. Knowles in the 8th inning, put the club down in order. Now Hector Cruz is going to bat for Bruce Sutter. He swings, lines one down the left field line. Base hit. He's making the turn. He's on his way to second base. And the throw coming in from Mejias. He is on at second with a double. Cruz, a good pinch hitter. He's the guy that gets up in there, and he is ready to swing at the first thing anywhere near the strike zone. And Ivan DeJesus will be the batter after the Cubs' their 8th hit of the day. Let's see if they can rally. Montreal with 4 runs in the top of the inning. They have now out-hit the Cubs today, 12-8. Ivan takes, and Knowles misses with a fastball. Ivan singled, still second in the first inning, and scored, and Klein's double. He has also reached in an error. He's 1 for 4 officially. Darrell into the stretch. The left-hander's pitch to Jesus. Checks. It's a strike call. Ball one, strike one. Each team has been guilty of some errors here today. But Montreal, with a 9th inning rally, has taken the lead. Knowles' next pitch drips outside. Ball 2, strike one on Ivan. One away, runner at second base. Cruz there with a pinch hit double. Knowles looks at him. Left-hander kicks. Here's the pitch. Swung on. He rolls a little foul past Cookie Rojas, the first base coach. Ball 2, strike 2. At a 5-4 lead. Got the first man up in the top of the 9th inning. Gonna walk. And then more trouble. 2-2 pitch. And Ivan hits a high fly ball. Center fielder Dawson moving to his left is there. And he grabs it. Cruz will hold at second. Strong throw on the fly to third base. He's going nowhere. And they're 2 gone. And unless Gene Kleins and a couple more Cubs can get on here, Montreal is going to even up the series. Gene 1 for 4 today. Had a couple of runs batted in to his credit. Veteran Knowles on the hill and the pitch. Takes the strike right at the belt. There's a swing, and he's got himself a base hit into right field. And Malpatano waving that runner Cruz to the plate. No play on him. The throw, of course, goes into second base. So the Cubs get on the board in the 9th inning with 2 away. And Gene Kleins with an opposite field line drive single, his 3rd run batted into the afternoon. It is now Montreal 9 and the Chicago Cubs 6. And Larry Bittner, the batter. Need to get him on to bring that tying run to the plate. What did I say it was? What did I say? 8-6 score, yeah. Well, Bittner would represent the tying run. I gave Montreal 1 more run than they got coming. There's a ball to it. Larry homered onto the catwalk in right field in the 4th inning. That was off Rudy May, a left-hander. And he looks at Knowles next pitch, and it's low. Ball 2 on him. Joe Wallace in the on-deck circle. Time out is taken. Dick Williams trotting out to talk to Darrell. Dick's 13-year-old son, Mark, going to be confirmed tomorrow out in Newport Beach, California. And he is leaving the ball club after the ball game today to be out there for that event. Dick also has another son who is a left-handed pitcher with the Montreal Farm Club at Memphis, Tennessee. He's back in the dugout. Knowles on the hill delivers 2-0 pitch. Bittner started to go after it, wanted to hold up, but committed himself. Ball 2, strike 1. Two-one delivery. Sidearmed him. He goes after it. Fouls it up over our heads into the upper deck, and the count, ball 2, strike 2. With 2 gone. Come on, Larry. Talk about deuces. 2 on, or 2 out, rather. 2-run lead for the Expos. 2-2 pitch. Number 22 in the batter's box. Sidearm delivery, got a piece of it. Fouled it off against the wall on the first base side, so he's still alive. Number 32 on the hill. Knowles could pick up the victory. That'd be his first decision of the season. And Sitter would be charged with a loss here, unless the Cubs can bail it out. Here's a pitch. Checks his swing, grazed his bat, the ball game is over. Bittner could not get the bat out of the way. It was a foul tip right into the mid of Gary Carter, and the Expos have pulled it out. In the 9th, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 man left, and the final, the Montreal Expos 8, the Chicago Cubs 6.
The galleys and the hoes, we make car buying a pleasure again.
I'll handle this, Carol. It's our first new car, and this salesman is going to come at us like a ton of bricks.
But the sign says we make car buying a pleasure again.
I don't care what the sign says.
Hi, can I help you?
See, Carol? Patronizing.
We're interested in a Cutlass.
I don't blame you.
Pressuring us already.
Can we look around for a while? I'm not sure about color or equipment.
Listen, just take your time. If you have any questions or you want some help, I'll be right here.
Now he's ignoring us, Carol.
Jack, that salesman is a pleasure to deal with.
Well, he won't be here when we need him. Watch.
Yes, sir?
Nice place you have here.
Visit your Chicagoland Oldsmobile dealer today. Find out how we can make car buying a pleasure for you.
The Gallup says of old, we make car buying a pleasure again. The Gallup says of old, we make car buying a pleasure again. The Gallup says of old, we make
Kind of a dismal ending. Expos with 4 runs in the top of the ninth win it 8-6. They out-hit the Cubs 12-9. It was not a well-played ball game by either ball club. 6 errors, and they divided them evenly. Montreal with 9 left the Cubs with a half a dozen. And Darrell knows the winner. His first decision of the year. Bruce Sutter, the losing pitcher, and he is now 0-2. It only took 2 hours and 42 minutes. Don't want to see that repeated very often this year, Lou.
Montreal had threatened all through this ball game. Fryman and Herman Frank's aide coaxed Fryman to get to 6 innings, but in the first 5 innings, Montreal left 7 men on base. Their rally started late, but in the 9th inning, aided by a walk after 1 out, they started to get some base hits and scored 4 runs to pull this one out for a victory. They've got a good hitting ball club, and you've got to stay with them all the way. We were hoping all along that the Cubs would add to their lead, but Bittner's home run gave them a 2-run lead, but that's as far as we could get out in front of Montreal. It was one of those days that, Vince, is not, as you mentioned, conducive to good defensive baseball. When you stand out there in infield or outfield and that wind continues to blow in and you get stiff. I'm not going to make any excuses for any of the ball players, but I know what it is to perform in this kind of weather. It's quite difficult to stay warm and keep your hands warm so you can actually feel the leather of that baseball and with a good touch.
Yeah, and that's what you have to play this game right. A good touch and some fluid motion. Well, maybe it'll warm up a little bit out here tomorrow. It will now be the rubber game of the series between the Cubs and the Montreal Expos, and we'll be back with a word about it in a moment. Our broadcast today has been brought to us by General Finance's 70 Chicagoland offices. And to borrow up to $10,000, call friendly Bob Adams at Andover 32020. True Value Hardware Stores, not just a name, it's their way of doing business. The G. Heilman Brewing Company of La Crosse, Wisconsin, and they're the makers of Old Style. That's that great, pure brewed beer from God's country. The Association of Chicagoland McDonald's Restaurants. Have breakfast at McDonald's tomorrow. You'll enjoy it. Your Chicagoland Gallant Men of Olds, the place to test drive the new Olds Cutlass for 1978. Stop in and see your Olds dealer, huh? Tomorrow, Wayne Twitchell is slated to go for the Montreal Expos, and for the Cubs, a rookie right-hander, Dennis Lamp. And Dennis will be looking for his first one of the year, as will Mr. Twitchell, used to be with the Phillies. But today, Montreal, with 4 in the ninth, comes out a winner 8-6, and the Cubs will not move into first place in the Eastern Division. Our broadcast, authorized under rights granted by the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers for this event. It's solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of the game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. There was some other action this afternoon, some still going on, and in Chicago, I'll have it for you all on the scoreboard in just a moment. But for the rest of you folks along the network, just want to remind you to join us again tomorrow. And this is the WGN Chicago Cubs Baseball Network.
Summertime is a great time for outdoor living. And the people at Heinz Lumber want to help you get ready to enjoy it right now. Heinz spring trainload of redwood has just arrived. Its rustic texture and earthy color make a handsome deck or fence. And because Heinz buys by the boxcar full, they can offer this beautiful redwood at low trainload prices. For example, garden-grade redwood 2x4s are just 49 cents a linear foot. Heinz also has a complete selection of redwood planters and redwood furniture. Bring your ideas to any Heinz lumber store. One of Heinz friendly pros will help you select the redwood you need for your project. They'll even cut your order to size and deliver it. And while you're there, ask for a copy of Heinz free literature. It's full of facts and ideas to make your backyard projects easier. Why not start your redwood project now so you'll have the whole summer to enjoy it? Stop in the Heinz Lumber True Value Hardware Store near you. There's one in Evanston, 1613 Church Street.
Vince Lloyd back with you at Wrigley Field. It's time for the scoreboard, brought to us today by Continental Airlines. And there's no lower fare to anywhere they fly than their chicken feed fares, and there are no restrictions. The New York Mets continue to be a surprise in the early going in 1978. And down at St. Louis this afternoon, before a crowd of nearly 7,000, Pat Zachary threw a two-hit shutout for his second win without a loss, and the Mets defeated the Cardinals 2-0. Last night they defeated the Birds by a score of 3-2. So the Cardinals now 2 games under the 500 mark, and the New York Mets have won 8 and lost 5. The loser, Littell, and Zachary allowed 2 hits, and our ticker reports that the Mets got only 2 hits, with a run in the first and 1 in the third, and no home runs reported. At San Francisco this afternoon, the Braves got a run in the top of the 4th inning against Jim Barr, and the Giants, batting in the bottom of inning number 6, trailed Atlanta 1-0. They had a one-hitter, the Giants did, thrown at them by Atlanta last night out there, as the Braves won that one 1-0. The Cincinnati Reds, who have pounded lumps in the Dodgers in the first 2 games of their series, will be playing tonight on the coast. Tommy John against Hume, and those 2 pitchers each are 2-0. Houston will be at San Diego. The Padres a winner last night. They have Andahar looking for his first win of the year, going against Freisleben for the Padres. And there's some action going on this afternoon in the American League. We'll be reporting on that in just 1 minute.
Fly us to Chicago for only $75. The flights are unscheduled, of course. So 2 months before you...
Fly our special Econo Night Youth Super Standby Waitlist fare. Good only February 30th and 31st. And in September on weekends.
Yes, friends. We can save you 80%. Just make your reservations in the next 10 seconds and pick up your tickets by mail. Or come in to
almost anywhere for just $50. Now, that provides you detainers, and you never know. You'll keep one part of the reservation, but...
Continental Airlines has put an end to discount fare confusion.
If you can't fly Continental, you might as well not fly.
Continental's new chicken feed fares are unbeatable. They save you up to 40% off regular coach with no restrictions of any kind. But seats are limited, so call your travel agent or Continental Airlines now. Ask for the chicken feed fare. There's no lower fare from here to there.
Fares effective May 15th, subject to CAB approval. And in that action this afternoon, here's a later one. The Giants did not score in the 6th inning. Boy, Atlanta pitching is really stifling those Giants. They're now in the 7th at San Francisco, with Atlanta leading 1-0. And the Oakland-Minnesota ball game was tied. A flurry of scoring in the last inning and a half of regulation time has sent it into overtime. Oakland had picked up a run in the top of the 9th inning, and they had themselves a lead by a score of 5-3 after Minnesota had picked up one in the bottom of the 8th, but the Twins tied it with a pair in the bottom of the 9th inning. And now they are in the bottom of the 10th. Oakland did not score in the top of that inning. The Twins have a chance to win it in 10. That ball game is all tied 5-5 up at Bloomington, Minnesota. The White Sox are not scheduled today or tonight, and they were rained out, of course, yesterday. Detroit tonight plays at Cleveland, while Milwaukee will be at Boston against the Red Sox. New York and Toronto up in Canada this afternoon have finished 4 innings of play, and the Toronto Blue Jays lead the Yankees 2-1. Kenny Holtzman going for the Yankees in his second start of the season against Garvin for Toronto. And in that Eastern Division, the Yankees are a 500 ball club right now after playing 10 games. Even though they got that big blow off the bat of Reggie Jackson, they're 2.5 games behind the surprising Detroit Tigers, who lead Boston by a half, then Milwaukee, the Yankees, Cleveland. And in the Western Division, the White Sox will be playing tomorrow night against Kansas City, trying to snap their winning streak. The Royals, after dropping their opener this season, have gone on to win 8 in a row. Both those teams are idle today. And Kansas City with a game-and-a-half lead in the American League Western Division over the second-place Oakland A's, pending the outcome, of course, on that Oakland-Minnesota ball game this afternoon. It looked like the Cubs were going to make it 2 in a row with the Montreal Expos out here this afternoon, but it was not to be. And I'll be back here to review some of the highlights of the ball game in just a moment, after I tell you about your local Z-Bart auto and truck rust-proofing dealer, who invites you to ask yourself this question. If automotive rust-proofing is so easy that every Tom, Dick, and Jones offer it as a sideline, why does Z-Bart, the national pioneer and leader in the field, specialize in rust-proofing? The answer is obvious. Because complete and thorough rust-proofing is a complicated and highly skilled specialty requiring special tools and special training. And what's so special about the Z-Bart process? Everything. Z-Bart rust protection penetrates the places where most rust starts, the inner seams of your car. Z-Bart dealers get inside your new car's body and cover rust-prone metal, including the underside of your vehicle, with a unique sealant. Don't settle for less. Before you let a car dealer or local garage sell you a so-called rust-proofing job, visit one of the 26 Z-Bart dealers in the Chicagoland area and have him actually show you the difference. Remember, Z-Bart says, it's us or rust. The Cubs got out in front with a pair of runs in the first inning today against 33-year-old veteran Rudy May, making his first start in his career against the Cubs and his first appearance in Wrigley Field. They picked up another run in the second inning after Montreal had picked up a pair in the top of that inning against starting pitcher Woody Fryman. I got to remind you that this is WGN Radio today in Chicago. And in that third inning, a leadoff walk to Dawson, and that bloomed into a run for the Montreal Expos. So they had tied up the ball game, but it didn't last very long because the Cubs in the bottom of the third had Dave Kingman reach on an infield hit. And Kingman, by the way, in the first inning, with Gene Kleins at third base, he had doubled and got over to the third on a walk. Kingman startled the Montreal Expos and a lot of the crowd of more than 2,000 out here today by dropping a perfect bunt for a single and bringing in Kleins. And then Dave scored in that third inning after getting a single. Steve Olivares doubled to drive him in. That came with one out. And in the fourth inning, Montreal threatened, but they left two men stranded, and with two out in the bottom of the fourth inning, Larry Bittner, the batter for the Cubs.
The pitch. Sidearm curveball swing. There's one hit deep to right field. Way back. Going. Kiss it goodbye. It's a home run. A home